Maybe if I can talk. Hello, everybody. Before we start the episode today, I ask everyone to please like this video and also to subscribe and follow to both the YouTube channels, the Spotify, Apple channels, all that. Anything you guys do in terms of that really helps. I also want to make it a kind of an announcement, maybe not an announcement, more of a guess housekeeping or something like that. I know the last episode was really rough on the audio. I was really limited on. We filmed the episode quite a bit later than we usually do, so I was really trying to get everything kind of crammed in to still fit that Monday at noon time slot. And it was just something I overlooked. The episode, I was listening to it last night. It still turned out really well. I really still enjoyed it. But I just wanted to let everyone know, from now on in the future, we're going to be doing our best to make sure everything is top quality with the audio, because that is the most important part of the podcast, for sure. So, without further ado, to introduce my guest today. I've been looking forward to having this guy on for a hot fucking minute. He is part of the Des Moines Music Coalition, which I'm not exactly sure what that is, but we're going to get into all that. He has a solo album he just dropped. More notably, how I know him through is his podcast, In the Birdroom. I remember going into Google and typing in Des Moines podcast, and that was the first one that came up. And I really love his show. A lot of the guests, some of the guests he's had on are people who are very prominent in the hip hop community, so I know about that. And he more focuses, I think, in the rock genre, but his sights are set, and he really has a lot of good insight. So without further ado, let's introduce the episode here. All right. Yeah, I get that. Well, I guess we're rolling. We might as well just officially start here.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Sober before we start, and we'll see how it ends.
Yeah. Here, cheers.
Cheers.
Let's do that for
Thank you for supplying a little bit of the temple.
Yeah, definitely. It's my birthday this weekend, so this is well, I guess not technically this weekend. It's like next week, but we're celebrating this weekend. Thank you, by the way. But
it's
yeah,
my 5-year wedding anniversary this weekend.
Oh wow, no way.
Yeah.
So fun.
5 years.
So funny enough, this weekend. So I'm divorced, and this is actually the weekend coming up that is me and my ex-wife's anniversary.
Oh.
So it's gonna be the first one too. So me and her, that's kind of a big part of it. We're doing half because of that and half because of the birthday. So
yeah. A celebration question mark?
Definitely a celebration. Yes, it's for the better, for
Good
sure.
Man. Well, happy birthday, and thanks again for having me.
Yeah, I honestly feel really honored and privileged to have you here. I really love your show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I really love your angle in the music business, like the music scene in Des Moines, I should say. Kind of my expertise, I would say, is like the guests I have more so like hip hop, EDM type guests, and you kind of explore more of the. I mean, you explore everything, but it seems like you're more in the rock.
I'm all about, I grew up in the rock world. I didn't grow up in Des Moines, but I grew up, with rock kind of being sort of, how I found my identity in like 6th or 7th grade in music a little bit more, getting into like Nirvana, the Beatles and Weezer and stuff. And
Hell yeah.
But when I came to the central Iowa music scene, if it was Ames in like the early 2000s or going to school at Central or playing shows in Des Moines, it's usually been rock focused. But after studying music for a while, I got way more jazzy or way more jazz influences, so I kind of toned down a little bit, got more experimental with anything I can get my hands on. So when it comes to the show, I'm all about anybody who's putting out a good sound, and I love the collaboration project or aspect of the In the Birdroom podcast too, because I get my hands into genres and styles that I'm not 100% not comfortable with, but haven't done that before. Like making beats or doing something different with an acoustic artist like Lily Detay came in, and it's not like I haven't done acoustic music before in my life, but it's just a really cool, what is she gonna play? And then she does it, and I get to like mess with it. Yeah, thank you. Let me talk about myself more.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of the thing that I've always noticed when you're doing a podcast. It's like to strike that balance between like talking about yourself, talking about other people. And you're actually I think you were the first guest that we've had in the show that like actually runs his own podcast.
Oh, cool.
So it's kind of nice to have my own kind.
I can interrupt here then too.
Yeah. Exactly. Here, let's take a really quick break. Cool. I am actually really worried that I did not start the
music that we record in the Birdroom. Is why not make a small video to go along at least with the musical process of recording the songs and stuff, because that's the what'd you call it, the shtick of the show in a way, is to be able to do special music on each show as well. So to capture that a little bit would be kind of cool to get some video as well. But when you do the whole thing, setting up, recording everything, editing, and then end up doing most of the music after the fact, after someone like throws down a song and I end up putting the drums and piano and stuff on there. One more aspect to that, I don't think I could actually do the rest of my job with Des Moines Music Coalition. I absolutely love doing the podcast, but it can take up, as you know, a lot of time. Sometimes people think, oh no, you just record and then you share it, but there's a little bit more finesse to it once you get the music stuff included, which I love, and that's the reason of the podcast for my sake. It can just, like as we started, if I consider myself a perfectionist, and then I give myself 2 extra songs per week to record, mix, and get out there and spotlight this musician properly as much as I can with put my fingerprints on it. I want to do it right for their sake, but also I love doing music, so it's easy to get carried away, and many, many, many hours later, it's like, got it.
Yeah, your podcast is definitely a lot different from like kind of what we do here. Like you it's all very precise. Like you have, for those who haven't listened, I'll promote you guys to go listen to his podcast because it's a hell of a time in the Birdroom. But you definitely split things up. You have music in between. This is very more so like Joe Rogan kind of feel. So
chatty.
Yeah,
Just get
chatty.
to chat about it.
Yeah.
Which is an aspect I love too. And I wasn't great at it at first, and I consider myself somewhat of a social person, like sitting at the bar and kind of ending up chatting with someone I've never met. And you can, just like my dad, we'd go somewhere and where's dad? Oh, he's talking to that person. Who's that? Never met him, but he's been talking about, if it's trucks or the Vikings football or, whatever, he's just got that type of personality. But I think anybody can come down to the Birdroom, and it can usually be a civil conversation.
Yeah.
A civil conversation, and we can just have fun, even if I've never met the person. So I've had a few guests, like we're doing now, where I've never met the person. That's really exciting. But I love doing it. I love chatting with people. As you mentioned, Joe Rogan. I'm a huge Mark Maron WTF fan, really into Michael Rosenbaum, Inside of You. I was talking, he was the Lex Luthor on Smallville.
Oh, okay.
And he's, of course, in a bunch of other stuff, too. But he's got a really cool podcast, and he gets guests that I'm into. A lot of, superhero actor guests, mostly, in the CW or DC world, in a way. But I like that stuff. It's fun.
Damn. I'm not really too much into the superhero stuff myself. Me and Molly, though, are huge fans of Batman.
What would you think of the Batman trailer?
It actually looks a little more promising than I initially thought, but I'm guessing because it's by the same studio who did the crap fest of those other movies, I probably don't think it's going to be any good. And that director did those, he did the Planet of the Apes movies, which I was not a fan of.
Really? Yeah, I mean, the remakes, yeah.
Yep. God, fucking flies, man.
Yeah, we had
turn into the Eric Andre show.
I had a fly in the bedroom the other night, just hanging out with my cat Harvey, trying my best to go to sleep at a good time. My wife's been on vacation, so it's really easy to not follow the rules.
Yeah.
But being a good boy and going to bed early, and Harvey and I are sitting there, and there's this freaking fly. We kept looking at him, and he would stop, and I'm like, just don't worry about it. I don't like to kill things if I don't have to. I get kind of weirded out even like mowing the lawn, and hopefully I didn't run over a toad.
Damn, for real.
Yeah, like I don't like to kill flies, or even like I blow mosquitoes off my arm. But this was one of those like, this fly's dumb, and he's got to go. So I couldn't find a fly swatter, so I got a White Claw 12-pack, whatever, just like the cardboard box of a drink White Claw 12-pack, and ripped it apart so I get some sort of like swatter situation. I go back to the bedroom and put the cardboard down next to me, and it maybe sat there for a whole 20 seconds before my cat realized, oh, there's cardboard on the box or on the bed now, and this is mine. And now he's laying on top of it, and I don't have a fly swatter anymore. I don't know why I told that story, but I just thought it was the cutest thing in the world.
No, pets are cute. I love pets. I'm a dog guy myself.
Dog guy. I grew up with dogs for the most part. I grew up on the farm in North Iowa and had Lassie. She was the main dog. She was a miniature collie. She was the main pup throughout my youth. Just had dogs around the place. Of course, we had farm animals, pigs, and just pigs. But I got Harvey 12 years ago, and he's been a joy.
Oh wow, he's still kicking it.
He's taught me a lot. A little bit more about patience and Before, and it wasn't even my choice. I was in a relationship with someone, and she said we should get cats, and I'm like, I don't know if we're terribly responsible enough to get a cat. And we did. Her and her friend picked up like 5 or 6 cats on a farm.
Holy shit.
And brought them over. And it was just like, okay, which one do we want? I'm like, the one with the blue ribbon, And so he was really cute at the beginning. And then he was a hellion, as my mom likes to call him, Harvey the hellion. But then... we got a dog too, a little Chihuahua. But let's just say when things ended, she got the dog and I got the cat. And I'm really happy that I have Harvey in my life, and he's like a son to me. He's my guy.
Damn, that's awesome.
He's also my dad. He tells me when to get up in the morning and when to feed him. I don't know.
Dogs are good for that. They're good for that routine. When I got divorced and when I moved into this place initially, I was like, one of the first things I need to do is get a dog.
Do you have a dog here now?
No. Okay, so we're leaving tomorrow, and you actually missed out on seeing the dog.
Oh, but you do have a dog here usually.
Usually, yeah. Okay. He's at the clinic or the clinic, the place.
The dog.
He was he was so sad when I left him. He was like in the back of the car, and the lady was trying to pull his leash, and he wouldn't go. I had to get out of the car and get him out. He was a little sad that I was leaving. Yeah, he's really attached.
Harvey was yelling at me when I left. He really wanted to go outside. He's really got us in a routine. We got a nice backyard. It's all fenced in. We bought a house a few years ago, so. Now that he's had 9 years or 10 years of trying to escape and making it outside multiple times in his life in many different houses and apartments, now he can at least go outside and do his thing, and we can kind of see what he's doing. And he absolutely loves it, and he was really upset when I left today because it's a really nice day.
It is a really nice day.
He really just wanted to hang, and I'm like, hey, I got to do a podcast, and then I got to go do a radio show. I work a little bit with KFMG.
Oh, no way!
98.9, and I do a guest radio. I'm a guest every 4 or 5 weeks. Guest host, you could say, of Iowa Homegrown, an all Iowa music show on Sundays 2 to 5.
Oh, no way!
I'm gonna pre-record that now or after this, so I can hang out with my wife on our 5-year anniversary. And she's been gone for a week, so it'll be nice just to hang and can't go anywhere. But well, I don't know, grill or something like that, or we were gonna go hiking and we do all this stuff, and I've had a terrible severe sciatica recently, and I'm upright these days, but going for a hike or a big bike ride or walks, it's kind of off the table for a nice romantic weekend.
Well, hey, this is a good warm up for your radio show. Then that's really awesome. You do that. I didn't know that.
I'm lucky, and it was just by kind of random chance, but the Des Moines Music Coalition's office is at Mainframe Studio downtown, and KFMG is right down the hall. And we're both in music, of course, and I had good conversations with Ron Sorensen there. Always seen him walk in, and we just kind of, he's like, you should consider doing radio. You got a voice for radio, a face for radio. No, that's but and it just, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds fun. I do a podcast, and again, it's one of those things that does take up a lot of time. Even though it's every 5 weeks or something like that, but it's a 3-hour show, and as a perfectionist, I like to record and make sure I get all the transitions right and stuff. So it can be 3 days in that studio for the 3-hour show. No, but I like the opportunity to be able to do that. It's fun.
That's really awesome. I've never obviously worked in radio. That's something I would have always loved to do. So before we get too much further, I kind of want to get a little bit on like your background. You've been through a lot of bands from what I've heard in your show, and you've just been involved in music and kind of all this for a while. So why don't you, have you lived in Des Moines or?
I grew up in North Iowa, mostly on the farm. Like my family were farmers. My dad was a farmer. His parents were farmers. The nearest towns to us was a small town called Rake, Iowa, which is really close on the Minnesota border. So I've always been a Rake kid. But about 7 miles away was Buffalo Center, and that was like where the high school was, and that was a town of 1,500 people at that time, and Rake only had 300 people. So Buffalo Center was the big city. But no, grew up there. Very nice community. Very what's the word? Encouraging. People always had your back, and so when I kind of got into music and started a band with my buddies, the community really took to it. Good job, guys, you rock. Can you play some REO? And I'm like, well, kind of like to play heavier music, and you gotta play those cover shows, and you earn your cred that way. But that was a band called Keepers of the Carpet, and that was my first band. Kind of started, 8th grade, kind of into high school, and then our bass player, he went to Iowa State, and he was a couple of years older than me, and he got into the music scene there, just going to shows and stuff, and he met Patrick Fleming, who I was just talking about, Gloom Balloon and the Poison Control Center, and he's a producer, and him and his friends, Aaron Heffley, who else? Joe Terry, Joe Williams, just a great group of people, very artistic and musically, they kind of created a music scene around this kind of do-it-yourself record label, CD label, record label, called Bi-Fi Records, and we did a demo with them, and we hit it off, and next thing you know, we got signed to Bi-Fi Records, and it had a lot to do with the fact, I think, that we were pretty naive, and we didn't know anything about having a scene, so we weren't trying to impress anybody. I think we were just having a lot of fun on stage, This is really cool, there's really big speakers here, So we were just kind of punks from the farm playing our version of kind of pop punk music, and and I was studying music at Central College. I went there from 2000 to 2005, and during that time, Keepers kind of kept doing stuff. I kept pushing musical territories and going to class as much as I could in the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you go to school for then?
Music.
Okay.
Yep. I
assumed.
When I was kind of surprisingly got accepted to a private college, liberal arts college, Central College, and my parents thought it was a really, really great idea for me to take that challenge. And, I was kind of thinking more I'd go to Iowa State because that's where my buddy Zach of Keepers of the Carpet went. But I ended up at Central, and it was very expensive. I'm still paying for it. I learned a lot, though, and, there's something they say, college are the best years of your life, and there's some truth to that, a lot of truth to that. I had a great time, but I really do wish I could go back and be a little bit more serious about my studies and finances, you think you're going to go to college and get that perfect right out of school job because he got a nice degree from the liberal arts college. And truth be told, I ended up leaving or graduating 5 credits short of my actual degree, and it took me many, many years then to, for one, have any money to finish my degree. But I continued doing music, and my wife encouraged me to go back to school just because she knew how much it bothered me.
Yeah.
I was so close and screwed something up, and yeah, I'm really happy I finally finished my degree. But after college, they let me graduate. They let me walk. It was like a whole technical thing of, I took too many classical guitar lessons, and I should have taken soccer and weightlifting instead. It was really bullshit like that when it came down to it.
They were just like good enough. Basically.
No, they didn't get my degree. They let me like walk and do like the ceremony.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was confused. So you did not get your degree, but you still like attended the whole thing?
Yeah.
Damn,
by
that's
my
bullshit.
mom's, she really wanted me to, she wanted me to walk. She knew I had done the work,
Mm-hmm.
She's like, no, get the gown and, we'll come celebrate with you. And it was so sad for multiple reasons. My ex-girlfriend had showed up we had just recently broke up. And
and she was still there?
And she came and like to be there, and it was like, why did, my whole family's there. I'm like such a loser. I just lost my glasses a few weeks before that in Ames, and I had just done my senior recital trying to read classical music without my glasses, and I wasn't a classical guitar player. And the end of that whole stint at Central College was very bogus and very, very disappointing in myself, and to be honest with you, the leadership of, who was supposed to be like my, my mentor or counselor, what do you call it, person, the
guidance
teacher,
counselor?
Yeah, guidance counselor, the credit counselor, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
Who, I did meet with, a professor there, every semester, and set up, your credits and classes and stuff like that. And I don't necessarily try to blame them or him. Like what I said, like I wish I could go back and be a little bit more serious about crossing those T's and dotting those I's, and not pulling a Zach Morris and getting to the last week of school and realizing Mr. Belding says you can't graduate because you skipped out of this class or something.
Yeah,
that happened in Saved by the Bell, one of the last episodes, if not the last episode. But yeah, I struggled for a while financially and trying to find the right jobs. But music was always the most important thing to me. If it was Keepers of the Carpet, we broke up during that time, and then got back together after that. I started doing kind of a more experimental jazz stuff, just like by myself and writing. Even though it's kind of still pop music, to be able to use something a little bit more colorful has always been a goal of mine. To not repeat myself, not to sound like another song, maybe sound like another artist.
I see what you're saying. You want to be original,
as you can, But I started playing in a band. I moved to Ames after a while and started playing in a band called Nuclear Rodeo. And I got Keepers of the Carpet back together. I started playing drums in a band called Wolves in the Attic, and I found a good support group in Ames as far as like music support and like art, like a lot of time it was a party too, but it was always, art driven, I think, and people really, those were the best shows, parties, basements, the time the bar probably should have been closed, but the venue just let you keep playing, stuff like that in Ames. And
I have heard that there's kind of like there's like a really central art music scene. Lizzie Poppyseed, if anybody knows who she is. Are you familiar?
Sure.
Okay, yeah. Me and her go back
a
couple years. And I know she performs up there a lot, kind of that vibe.
I was in Ames for about 7-8 years probably
after
college. And met a lot of great people, started some really cool bands, and I'm very close friends with many of those people still today. But I think for me, the writing was kind of on the wall, and as far as my time in Ames, and things were happening, life was moving forward. I think I had kind of run my circles at that point, and needed a change, and ended up moving to Des Moines with my friend Phil Young and bandmate of Tires and the Wheelers. he works at a Sonic Factory. I always got to plug Phil on everything. He does all the mastering for the music on in the Birdroom podcast. So if you want your next project to sound great, go to philipjamesyoung.com. But Phil and I, we moved to Des Moines, and jumped into the music scene here. It's not like we were didn't know venues and didn't know people here. It just kind of seemed like the right move at the right time to move to Des Moines, and I loved it. I've loved it here, and jobs have changed. I've become, I've done everything from pizza delivery after college to worked in a pawn shop for many years.
Wow.
Yeah, some good and bad memories from that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I got a lot of good gear and a lot of scary moments. People are.
Did you ever get robbed?
People are desperate at times. They're in a bad place, or you gave them a different deal another time, or the reason you can't take that gold this time is because they didn't pick it up. You didn't pick it up last time, and people say they're going to wait for you after the store closes, and I'll see you around town. Stuff like that. Cops getting involved and trying to use me to set people up.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, I'm like, that's your fucking job. Like,
That's on you, man.
I got $7.25 an hour, and Mr. Money is fucking me on commission too. I'm not going to help you bust this guy.
Yeah,
who
right.
I absolutely don't know for sure if he stole the guitar. Turns out the guy didn't, and they still busted into his place and held his family up at gunpoint. And he came after me, and a couple weeks I've been in jail. I knew it was you, and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm done working here. Like,
yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I've never heard a story like that.
Yeah.
Quite like that.
But I did get some good gear.
I can imagine.
I still got some of those guitars. Les Paul I got there, Fender Strat. My beloved Washburn Vulture bass guitar. It's really, really cool. The stereo I use on my record player. All this, the thousands of VHS tapes my wife has made me throw away slowly through the years. I did pawn shop, and then I started teaching music with Ames Music Studios, and had gone to college for music and music education and dropped the educational part halfway through college because I was going to schools, and at that point, being 23, whatever age I was like, I hate going to schools, guys don't want to be around these kids in this environment, and I started thinking, well, why am I becoming a teacher then to work in a school district? So that's when I kind of studied more composition and jazz a little bit more, but then lo and behold, 7-8 years later, I do find myself as a private music teacher at Ames Music Studio, and it was paying better than any other gig I had as an independent contractor. So there's pros and cons with that.
Yeah.
And honestly, made a really good career working with Al Biela. He's the co-founder or the founder of and the director of Ames Music Studio, and then he opened up Ankeny School of Performing Arts after 5-6 years of me working with him, and he'd been doing it for many years. So when I moved to Des Moines, I started not managing that building by any means, but I was certainly the guy there, and the guy who'd been there for 8 or 9 years, and it became I kind of thought it was going to be my career forever, and then ended up with going back to school, just getting not that there's anything wrong with teaching music. I absolutely love doing it, and I still love that with my job now that I can still be in education. It's very important, music education. But again, it kind of run its course a little bit. And after I got my degree, I ventured on to a year or so with Up-Tempo Music in Beaverdale here, owned by Dave Corey. So it's locally owned, and again, kind of got to know a different part of the music scene through those guys and those the patrons there and the people who worked there. Got way more involved with the Des Moines public schools and different school districts, working with band instruments and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that really helped segue a relationship with that I still have now with many band teachers in the city, with my current job with the Des Moines Music Coalition. And 17 years later, or whatever it was, 18 years later, I kind of found the job that really is perfect for me, and so I'm really blessed that I can still do music education. I can still do a little bit of teaching here and there. But I'm doing, way more with the local music scene. I get to do the podcast, put on 8035, gross domestic product, hopefully open up the more opportunities for younger bands getting on stages and stuff like that, which is mostly on hold at the moment during pandemic, and which is a huge bummer because we were rolling on a lot of cool stuff. And, with music education, our camps, gross domestic product, the local music festival we brought back this year. That's like my first thing. It's like, I want to bring back GDP. That was my first, like, if I can do anything with Des Moines Music Coalition, I want to bring back the local music festival. So, it was just rolling, good vibes, and now the pandemic, and we're at a standstill, and we're kind of with everybody else in the world.
Yeah, it's true.
Kind of going, well, what do we do? We're all kind of, how do we do live events? And, it's not something you can just flip a switch and go, we're going to stream now, or we're going to do it this way, or we're going to do drive. It's a process.
It takes planning. It's going to take a lot of planning.
It's, you do a whole year planning 80-35, You spend.
I feel, sorry, not to interrupt, but I feel so bad for those guys, 80-35.
Yeah, we're bummed. We made a judgment call pretty early, and I'm very happy that we did. I think we again kind of saw I don't think anybody felt comfortable trying to sell tickets at the beginning of a pandemic. Though I kind of thought everybody was thinking this should be gone by July. And I heard the warm weather kills the cold, the virus, So once it gets warmer, it's going to get better, and it really hasn't. It's gotten worse. So I'm glad, we never, we canceled or postponed until 2021. Just what it was, and you probably got what, it would have been a bad deal, to book, a bunch of, major headliners and sold thousands and thousands of tickets, and then go, just wait till next year.
Right.
Yeah, I'm so glad it didn't work out that way. But we're stoked to do live music again, and we're working on stuff right now on ways to do that. If it's live or if it's streaming, the safety of the people coming to shows, coming to the events, and people playing the events, and the staff is everyone's biggest concern, and that's got to take top priority for now. So I'm kind of in the mindset, not that I'm not doing stuff right now. We're still doing stuff. We're doing after-school programming virtually, online. We had a really good summer music camp that we did virtually. We're going to move forward with some after-school classes for rock band and hip-hop. We're thinking about something to do fun for GDP, if that's like a virtual series, and just, gross domestic product, that's, let's spotlight the Iowa music GDP, like a month-to-month series, and really hopefully make some of these bands a little cash during this time. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do. That's why I'm here. I've got nothing else to do.
Yeah, right. I mean, shit, that's a big part why we started this podcast. Fuck. Well, yeah, and that's, with this pandemic, I feel like that kind of entertainment has skyrocketed. So.
Yes, we're all leaning on the arts.
Yep.
You didn't really think like how much music you listen to, or how many shows you watch, or movies, or
Yeah.
People are leaning on that stuff right now, and we're running out in a way. When it comes to shows that have been recorded and movies that have been finished.
Yep.
TV shows can't go back to,
we have a year to catch up, maybe.
And that's what I kind of keep saying is, we're in this right now, and God, it might be a little bit of lull for live music. We're going to keep working. We're going to keep positive. We're going to keep doing what we can do. But when we're able to do stuff, I'm all about almost doubling up. Hey, let's do GDP and Little Big Fest and 80-35. Let's get more live music or local music at 80-35. Let's celebrate the local music scene more.
Yeah.
You can't right now, and it's pissing me off.
It's pissing a lot of people off, man.
Yeah, it's. I'm seeing people, and people are gonna hear this, and hopefully I don't piss anybody off, but I see bands and performers doing shows at bars and clubs, and those are probably as well sanitized and somewhat prepped as you can. But hey, everybody, listen up. I also want to do live music again. I'm not playing shows. I'm not putting events on because I want this fucking thing to go away. So can we be cool for a few months and stop going to parties and... Okay, sorry, that's the whiskey. I'm ready to do live music again, and I'm getting upset that other people, in my opinion...
Are just saying, fuck it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's just going to get worse and worse, and I'm almost gonna get tearful. I'm so angry, you know. Like
I get that.
Like I'm you know, I'm
Whiskey.
ready to rock again. I just released an album. I did a virtual album release, you know.
Yes.
I didn't do a, you know, album release. I didn't sell any albums. I didn't, you know. It's not about making money, you know. But I'm taking the hit with everybody else. So
Yeah.
my plea to listeners is to, you know, be safe and let's hunker down so we can do live events again.
Yes.
In my opinion, I am not a doctor.
Well,
Then again, some of my friends do call me the doctor, and I do the medicine for everyone and everybody. That's a really dumb inside joke from my band Tires.
No, I appreciate everything you're saying. I do want to say, like, in terms of like you doing like your music education, I actually did music education for about a semester and a half
Sure.
at
Cool.
University of South Dakota, so I'm very familiar with all of that. That is a grueling ass fucking degree.
You know,
Holy
some
shit.
people don't get it. They, you know, and there's maybe I just remember this one conversation I had or one stat I saw, but music education is a very, very busy and tough major.
Yeah. It's
Because
so
you're
much
doing,
shit.
You know, I remember, you know, liberal arts too. I was I was doing Spanish and math, and you know, like that ruined my, you know, experience of having to like take math multiple times, you know, because I couldn't freaking pass it, you know. Like, I'm not here to do math, you know, but I get it. But like, man, it'd be like in Spanish, you know. I took beginning Spanish 1 my sophomore year of college, and I did not take any Spanish in high school or any foreign language. Didn't really have to. They just let me not do it. Don't take away my degree now or my high school diploma, North Iowa High School.
I don't think they can do
Busted.
that.
No, but, you know, showing up to Spanish, beginning Spanish 1, and everyone's speaking sentences and speaking Spanish to each other. And the professor starts the class, and she says in English, from this point on, there'll be no English. And I was going, and I raised my hand. I went like, I'm in beginning Spanish 1, right? The first day? Like, yeah, we all took it in high school. You don't know it. Like, I'm like, oh, okay. So I tried and I tried. I went to every class. And I struggled and I struggled. And of course, I don't know any other language. I went to Cancun with a friend when I was 17. Went to Guatemala City when I was 18. Spanish is probably something I remember more or know anything more than any other language. I could maybe count to 10 or understood some of the basics, but no, it was just a huge struggle, and I completely flunked, which is really frustrating. It's not like I mean, it was there. I was at Spanish 4 days a week. It was a 9 a.m. class. I didn't skip. I was there almost every single day. I did the labs. I tried to do the homework, and they didn't pass me through the class, and I was like, oh, so I took 2 full years of Spanish at Central.
Damn. Wow.
And passed 2 of the semesters, so I could hopefully get my degree at some point.
Jeesh.
It was rough.
I didn't think language was like a requirement for the music degree. That's
Well, it was a liberal arts college, so
yeah, it's true. I guess
I didn't put much thought. I wish I would have taken like sign language, or you know, to take something that maybe else nobody knew, like
Mandarin, like a language that actually matters in this day and age.
maybe, yeah. And I love the Spanish language. I love the culture.
Yeah.
And I learned so much during that and had a really good time, and still could probably speak Spanish more than any other secondary language, which is about, you know, un poquito? No, I see. No.
Or yeah, you were right. Un poquito or un poco. There you go. It's been a while since I've worked in food service.
I was watching
Yeah.
Cobra Kai last night, the new Karate Kid Netflix series.
Oh, I've heard of that.
And
yeah,
they're at a Mexican restaurant, and the guy orders the polo, you know, the polo tacos, and do you want, you know, what kind of anyway, I got really obsessed with Cobra Kai in the last 24 hours.
Huh.
So
Interesting.
I watched 2 seasons because it was so. I tried to get through it kind of a late night, like, I guess I'll pass out on the couch as I watch this. What's this, you know? And just turned it off. Like, this is dumb. And then I turned it back on the next day and kind of went, yeah, this is pretty bad, but I'm kind of laughing because it's so bad. And then I got hooked, and I was like, I'm in it.
It's so bad, it's good.
Yeah. And it is. And, you know, the Karate Kid has heart. So, oh, no, I started to go from Spanish to now the Karate Kid. But nonetheless.
No, I wanted to tangent really quick. I have like a really...
We were talking about music education, of how hard it was to do that major.
Yes. Quick tangent really quick on the Spanish. I also struggled in Spanish a lot. I did it in high school, and I was fucking terrible. My last year, I swear to God, I studied for like a month for this final, and I still got like a 40%. And I swear to God, the teacher hated me so much and did not want to see me again that she just gave me a D- just to get me out of there.
Really?
Yep.
I had to beg my professor last few days of school, like I knew her, you know, like and it's not like she was a younger professor too, but she was such a hard ass. Maybe because it was her first couple of years, you know, she wasn't gonna let anybody, you know, just get through. And I'm like,
I see.
You know,
yeah.
like, Dr. X, I've been here for, you know, I've taken this class for 2 years, or, you know, or like beginning Spanish 2 now. I'm on my second semester of this. I'm not a Spanish major, and I know you so well that, you know, we call each other by our first names. I didn't skip out on classes. I'm just not good at this, and like I've spent $80,000 trying to get a music degree. Like I need to pass this class. I've done everything. I'm just bad at it, you know.
Yeah.
But I have my degree, and I no longer have the nightmares I used to have about not having my degree.
Yeah. That's the important thing. But no,
Not to
like
get on tangent about Central College. I'm very hoorah. Like I had a great time there.
Hey, got it out of your system.
Yeah.
But I guess so. Like going back to the music education, like I was a jazz guitarist.
Oh, awesome.
To this day, I cannot play half of the notes. But like I remember that class specifically was so difficult because they didn't give you any like if you play like a regular instrument in jazz, they give you the music.
Right.
They didn't do that for guitar. They were just like, all right, here's the piano music.
Exactly.
Figure it out.
That's my world.
Come back in a week, and you better have
That's what I love. I love fake charts. I love charts.
Yep.
Because there's multiple different ways to play an A minor 9, you know. And on your guitar, there's only 6 strings, so sometimes these, you know,
you have to go like,
A7 sharp 9 flat 13 or something like that. It's like, well, I don't think I can have enough fingers to do that, so you drop a note out, you know.
Yeah,
so there's multiple different ways that you could do those chords, but you know, I'm glad I actually looked at it that way instead of having to read the notes. When it comes to looking at notes and sight reading, it's very hard for me.
It's overwhelming as fuck too. That's the thing people don't remember.
Some people are very good at that. And most of the people that were in jazz band, they were real players, you know. You could give them a piece of music and I wouldn't be able to do that on guitar. I might be able to do it with my ear. And they might give me the music, but I'd never read music on the guitar. I played piano, I played trumpet. I really didn't know where those scales were. So I became much more of a chord guy. And have nothing but the utmost respect for Gabriel Espinosa, the jazz professor at Central College, and all of my music professors at Central College. Dr. Lawson, Dr. Breckenridge, Dr. Williams, put your hands up. No, but yeah, jazz was breakthrough for me. I was not good at it. I was a rock guy, you know. I grew up listening to Nirvana, Foo Fighters, Weezer, Ben Folds, Beatles. I mean, of course, there's a little jazz in there. Some here, it can get jazzy, but like
it's all branched. It's all connected.
It's a different world, you know. It's the real shit. I love it, and you know, having that experience of being the guitar player and saying, "Here's 20, 30 charts. We got practice next week, and all the singers are coming in," you know. And I was part of the vocal jazz combo, the guitar player, which is basically a rhythm section. Myself on guitar, we had a pianist, drummer, Gabriel Espinosa. He played bass for the most part, and that was it. We were like a 4-piece, but like 20 or 30 singers would come in, and each person would give us like 1 or 2 songs that they wanted to learn. And so at one point, you know, before practice, Gabriel would give me 20 or 30 charts, and, you know, work on these, do what you can with them, and it made me bunker down. Or if I wasn't studying, I had to just, like, know my shit on the spot, you know? And you start seeing, like, movements and progressions and chord progressions that you see in other songs. Oh, there's a 2-5-1, here's a 1-5-6-4, and here's something special in that. And that really opened it up for me to be able to hear something and be able to play it. Ear training had a lot to do with that too. I love that world, and I really haven't got to play too much real jazz after college, which is kind of a bummer. I do it I play jazz by myself, I have a recording studio, so I'll swing for a bit and maybe play piano or something like that. Or when I've done, drum lessons with students and I'm on the piano, that's a really fun opportunity for me to do some jazz stuff on the piano and have them doing a swing and we're working on some stuff. But haven't really got to, play with real players in that world.
Yeah, that's been something that's been scarce, I've found in Iowa, is like jazz.
There's some good stuff in Des Moines. There was, at least. Noche, they're doing great stuff. I know the Lift had, jazz nights on a special evening once a week. And that's where I kind of started seeing real jazz in Des Moines, was the Lift on 4th Street. Amadeo Rossi owns that venue, and he also owns the Vaudeville Muse. He's one of the co-founders of 8035 and Des Moines Music Coalition and all that type of stuff. So he's had his heart into the music scene for a long time, and it's really cool to see him. I mean, I'm not even sure if he ever goes to the club anymore, but
no, but he owns Vaudeville.
Yeah,
I've been there a couple times.
Vaudeville Muse is an absolute staple of not even Des Moines, but Iowa rock music or Iowa music in general. In my opinion, like that's when I write a song and I'm thinking about, Volcano Boys playing it or Tigers playing it for the first time at a venue, it is always Vaudeville Muse that's in my head where I want to perform that song.
Vaudeville's hosted a lot of hip hop too.
Yes, they have.
The last year, I went and saw, we're going to have him in like 10 episodes, The Round Hero. I'm convinced he is the greatest rapper
I'll check him
in
out.
Iowa. Definitely check him out.
Absolutely.
The Round Hero or Pac-Man. But he performed at Mauville like last year, and that was like for me, like when I was going through my divorce to see him perform, like I fucking love that venue. It's that perfect small venue where you can go to the bar over there, chill, get a drink, but then you just you walk 10 feet and you're just in the fucking shit.
It's a big small club.
Yep, exactly.
And they have the balcony there too. They could do something about the bathrooms, but I think that's kind of the staple or the charm of it as well, I suppose. But I think
there's a lot of pot smoke in those bathrooms.
I don't even know what that smells like. Yeah, but I've known like so many bartenders and musicians and sound people who've worked at that venue, and Amadeo, trusts some people who are. Who hold, I think, the music scene and that the importance of Vaudeville Muse very close to their heart as well. When he puts people in charge or someone gets a job there, there's always they care about the scene. So I do believe Vaudeville is like, I'm not gonna say the heart of Des Moines music, but definitely a heart of Des Moines. It has my heart, and I can't wait to do shows there again. Fingers crossed.
Shout out to Vaudeville for sure. But those elements of like jazz, go for it.
Do you mind?
Yes, go for it. Those elements of jazz that I really like in the terms of like coming to a venue, coming to a show, and like being ready. That's always been something like that's been integrated in jazz. I think in classical as well, but like specifically jazz. Like,
and I think with jazz too, they could probably play classical. They think I'm pretty sure most of those people could play in the classical world, and they know that stuff and they can play just as fast and intricate. But you're thinking of
jazz is way more complex.
I think so as well. But I mean, there's some beautiful complex, Stravinsky and Tchaikovsky. We're getting to the weeds there. But yeah, those guys, those people, those cats, they can show up and just know the song or throw them a chart. And it's a jam, but it's a professional jam. Like, and it's great for me to like watch them have that, real conversation on stage or the musical conversation on stage too, where they're like, give someone the eye and like, hey, here's the turnaround. It's just a different language. I love it. I didn't know you're a jazz guy.
I mean, I don't
know much about you, Coleman. It's the first time I met you, so
have me on the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll spill all out. I'm more like into hip hop personally. That's been like my real passion for the last like 4 or 5 months. I've been a rapper a little bit myself. I'd say these days I'm more focused on production. This is taking up a lot of my time. I'm way more about like the Des Moines industry itself than like I'm at the point in my life where I'm more about that than I am like my own ambitions.
It's for me. It's kind of a hard line to walk a little bit because I do care so much about the music scene, but how to promote my own music without making it making my job self-serving in a way. So I try to be really careful about that type of stuff. But I know I again just made everything about myself. But
that's why we have you here.
Yeah. But yeah, the hip hop scene in Des Moines is really cool, and that is new to me. I'll admit, you know, like someone who's lived here. You know, of course, I knew there's hip hop in Des Moines. I just didn't know the people playing those shows. You know, and getting into some of the music education aspects of Des Moines Music Coalition. You know, we have a hip hop camp and hip hop after school, and other people started that. I did not. You know, and I'm so thrilled to be involved in that scene. You know, I'm not in that scene. You know, but like to get to know some of the some great acts. And to go like, oh, this is way good. You know, this is something. You know, this is And I love music too when it comes to jazz or classical or metal or hip hop stuff. Hey, if I can't do that, you know, as a musician myself, there's an extra amount of respect that just kind of goes there because I'm very, I think, competitive when it comes to my musicianship. If it's like guitar, drums, songwriting, but you know, there's worlds like metal where I'm like, sure, I can solo on guitar. Don't get me wrong. I can rip it. I can rip the guitar a little bit. I ain't gonna lie, but I can't shred like metal stuff. You know.
Yeah.
So that even though like the genre maybe not 100% appeal to me at all times, like watching a metal show and watching somebody play like that, or watching Giuliano Doc perform hip hop and his flow, and watching what they do on stage is just like cool. I'm so glad that's happening in Des Moines, you know.
Oh yeah,
so
me too.
I look forward to hearing more hip hop and being able to maybe it's something that hasn't been represented properly in Des Moines.
No, well, I think that's changed the last couple of years, but overall, yeah. Like I remember back when I was doing rap in 2016, like nobody like rap in Des Moines, like what the fuck are you talking about, you know? I did want to ask you. I'm kind of still trying to understand, like, what exactly is the Des Moines Coalition, and like, how does that play into what you do?
Des Moines Music Coalition. We're a nonprofit organization.
Okay.
Focused on. I could just go to the website and give you the readout of our statement. But as a nonprofit, we're focused on bettering the music industry of Des Moines. We try to provide many opportunities for local music education. The world is changing right now. It's probably a little bit more streaming opportunities. We do 80-35. We do, gross domestic products. So a lot of events, music education, outreach type stuff. Most of our education is either free or crazy affordable. Like music camp for 2 weeks was $20, or it was free.
Oh wow!
It was 2 weeks, 3 hours a day, for both camps too.
That's super cheap. $20.
Yeah,
wow.
It's such a great opportunity for me, as someone who's worked in different like music studios and different. I've been in those camps, and they can be expensive if you're not.
Oh yeah.
$600, $700, $800. And I understand that's a business, but as a nonprofit, we might have an opportunity to bring opportunities to students who normally wouldn't be able to possibly afford, a hip hop camp or a rock band after school program. We have instruments that I'm stoked to, sign out to the students and stuff. So our goal in mission is to better the music scene and industry of Des Moines. And I think that, has a lot to do with music education and providing opportunities to kids who, like I said, wouldn't necessarily normally be able to be in those situations. And those other organizations are awesome. I worked at, music studios. I understand it's a business. But to be able to go into the schools, kids are there. It's free. We'll bring in hip-hop instructors, I'm there most of the time, like a fly on the wall, kind of like, I'm learning a lot too. And you're talking about drums, I can say this about jazz, Travis Barker, he's a great hip-hop drummer as well, Yeah. Yeah, that's us. You can learn more about the Des Moines Music Coalition at DesMoinesMC.com. As a nonprofit,
We'll put that in the description.
Yeah, we do take donations and people who care about our cause. We can't do all this stuff for free. It does cost money to do these programs. If that's paying the instructors, myself, the instruments, putting on all the work that goes into a live concert. Usually at the end of camps, we have a big concert. The kids play 8035 as well on our Gen Z stage.
No way! I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a Generation Z stage, Gen Z stage, whatever you want to call it, the abrev version.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they get all the camp students all perform at 8035. And hip hop starts or the rock band starts or it's intertwined, and it's awesome, and they get an opportunity not only to learn from real music educators or real musicians or real hip hop artists, but then they also get to go on stage, and we're there with them too, we're going to be playing the instruments with them or holding something down, like I'll take that verse, you take that verse, but they're finding their voice and finding confidence, and I just know how important that was for me when I was young to find music and know it was kind of, a little bit more random that I got my hand on it, Nevermind by Nirvana. A friend stole it for me from his sister and gave it to me. Pastor's kid, too, did this.
That's the shit. That's the shit right there.
Just to be able to, just even be inspired by these kids is something else, to be honest. Our virtual music camps, I was kind of like, okay, here we go. Are we going to be able to do this for 3 hours a day? And if we can, are they going to pay attention for 3 hours a day? And, it got long in like day 2 or 3. It was good. I was getting worn out. I was at both camps, teaching online, yelling at a screen for, like, Jimi Hendrix, and I kind of woke up one day just kind of going, I just kind of don't feel like doing this. But, you put on Zoom, it's the job, and those kids came in, and one kid, I'm like, hey, what's up, man? He's like, I've been writing for like since 6 a.m. Like, what do you mean? He's like, can I just show you what I've been working on? I'm like, okay. Yeah, I just got off. I had all this in my head, and he's spitting it off and doing this, and he's rapping and doing that, and he's doing it all over Zoom. And I'm like, okay, I'm in a good mood. Like, you kids just inspired me, and it's easy to get down on music and yourself, and like this time, especially right now. And for me, it's a breath of fresh air working with students who have that little spark,
Yeah,
it's cool.
That's awesome. Like just hearing about that, the amount of emotion that there is in like music in this area.
Oh,
that's
for
really,
sure.
That's
Absolutely.
really inspiring.
And there's moments with those students too. It's cool that they trust me and they share some of those lyrics, and we write songs together. We do some online programs and stuff like that, so they can record a little bit at home. I can hear that they're music is therapeutic, and I can hear that happening with many of them.
Extremely therapeutic. It really ties into your emotions.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
So, I got, I have a lot I want to ask you, I feel like.
Yeah, jump into it.
We'll
talk for...
Yeah, we can talk forever.
Yeah, I mean, we still have 3/4 of this bottle of Templeton, so...
Exactly. So I guess why I pour another one. You just finished your new solo album, and I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Really reminded me of like Flaming Lips, Modest Mouse kind of music.
Thank you.
It was kind of like a time lapse or step back in time, I guess.
Cool.
You could say.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
I have not been compared to Modest Mouse or Flaming Lips very much
really?
in my life. No. And of course I love the Flaming Lips, but again, not a huge listen to them every day band, and like Modest Mouse enough. So it's cool that people are coming back and being like, this reminds me of Nilsson, and I'm like, really? Like Harry Nilsson, like not an influence, or someone is like, you got to check out this band, and I'm like, oh, I do like this. But yeah, I thank you. I appreciate you checking it out, and hopefully it brought like some happiness and joy or interest. I don't know, a thought process.
Yeah, it definitely did.
It's more of a, I don't know, like I said, kind of a therapeutic process for me, but I had a lot of fun making that album, and I've been involved in so many different bands, and I love working with humans in a studio.
Yeah.
But I had a band called Jordan Mayland and the Thermal Detonators, and originally that title was my solo project, where it was kind of like the first thing I played all the instruments on, and for the most part, still had string people and horn people come in a little bit. But then the name was fun, and I had great friends in Ames who we'll be in the Thermal Detonators with you. So then that solo project became an actual band again, which was cool. We did that for many years, and a few years ago we finally put out or a year and a half ago maybe, almost 2 years I guess now, we put out a full band version of George Mayland and Thermal Detonators. And I think that band kind of ran its course a little bit. We were moving away from each other a little bit.
That's natural.
Life happens. And I was kind of craving a little bit of. I was jokingly calling that album at that point "Passion Project" because I just kind of it's a lot of work to do a 6-person band, and people live in different cities and whatever, and my name's on the bill, I want the band to be really, really good, so I took it very seriously, seriously, making sure everything was very, very fine-tuned as much as we could be, and that group didn't work that way. It was very individualistic, and that was really beautiful. Paul Hertz on the piano, or Brickman on drums, just really great people coming together and playing music with me. But for a long time, that album was kind of just a response to having to be in a band again. Not with those people, but being in Tires, Volcano Boys, the Wheelers, sometimes Keepers of the Carpet would reunite, and it was always busy. And this was something I could just kind of do by myself, and I love recording, so I had just a very modest interface and one nice mic or something like that, or two microphones. I started just kind of demoing. And
sorry, not to interrupt. What kind of program do you use?
I use Reaper.
Reaper? I have heard that a little bit. That's interesting.
It is a free program, where it is initially free online, and works great. I've done a few albums with Reaper.
Wow, no way.
Yeah, I like Reaper.
Damn.
Yeah, I like Reaper, but with my drum programs and stuff like that, I use FL Studios for Fruity Loops, or for years, because I hadn't learned how to drum program, or didn't have the means, or didn't have a computer, or those types of programs. I would record crazy keyboard drums, some just pre-programmed stuff, but know the song in my head and go here comes the chorus, wait till 3 and you can hit the fill, boom, hit the B section, 114 beats per minute. All right, let's use a different drum sound, and I would loop all these not even loop, but just listen, and in my head the song's happening. And so this, I don't know where I'm going with all that, but
I love it.
Let's just say this album was fun to do because I didn't have to share it. I didn't have, if the song didn't turn out, I didn't have to put it out. And there were many songs. I think I had 25 songs or so that I'd just been recording, plus Volcano Boys album we put out, Tires stuff, Electronidol Identical album with. So 38 songs for this album, 25 or something, and whittled away at it for a few years, and the studio grew. But again, it was never something that I was this is an album. I maybe thought I'll put 3 or 4 songs out solo at some point soon, when I had kind of a smaller recording situation. But as time went on, my studio grew. I got more mics, I got more channels, and I had a lot of fun. And I learned a lot with mixing with the podcast, and I've always recorded a little bit by my own. But it was a fun album to make, and I'm glad people are checking it out. And no one said anything mean to me yet, so that's a nice feeling.
That's always a good feeling, right?
Yeah. I've actually had a lot of people reach out, and sales and streams are one thing, but the fact that people are listening and sharing it, and going hey, this is really good, or my old friend Nate Robinson. Name drop, Nate Robinson, the guy who taught me everything about, or turned me on to great underground, at least underground music to me, Pumpkins, White Zombies, Nirvana, 9 Inch Nails stuff, 8th grade, this is scary music. He's but it's good, So, Nate, and he started playing bass with me, and he was started my first band with me. He reached out to me the other day, and he was hey, this song's moody as fuck. This is your best song. I'm I didn't think you would ever even paid attention to my music, Nate. So it's great that people have reached out, or like parents listen to it, or it has, and it is kind of a fun journey on that album, and I feel good that it's out, and I've already started recording the next one. So
damn, really?
Yeah, I'm almost ready to go like into like the real studio to like start doing. I'm doing this one a little bit different. Let's just say at this point there's already a 4-minute synthesizer solo. I've not put real drums on yet, and it's way moody. It's almost. I wanted to ruin the surprise for anybody, but it's nothing like the last album. I'll say that much. It's a little bit more modern sounding, and I'm excited to
damn.
Put a check mark on The Color of My Soul. It's out. It's done.
Yep.
I'd still like to promote it. I get really worked up on the next thing, so I'm not very good at promoting my own music. And I'm ready to.
Same here.
I'm ready to paint the
terrible.
next picture. I really don't do it for money. Maybe a little bit of fame, if I may. But no, I appreciate checking it out, and it was really fun to make, and it was a lot to take on, But I learned a lot about recording myself because I'm engineering, playing all this stuff, and hearing my own voice and going, "Oh God," I do this thing when I do vocals, and Phil Young, my brother in tires, and he's an engineer as well, has recorded my vocals for years, and maybe all the other engineers didn't always edited this out, but when I sing evidently, it's always like this. Da, 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 da. And there's that like, and you don't hear that when you're recording because I always have my headphones blasting with music. Like I like it like a live band, as loud as you can, the headphones, and let me perform. So it's really grueling hearing all that stuff. Isolating my vocals and going, good Lord, I'm glad I'm mixing this myself.
That nobody else is hearing.
Yeah. Though my wife had to hear multiple parts of those songs over and 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 over. And now we get to just enjoy it,
Yeah.
She's listened to it now. She won't listen to the full song, really, until it's released. On purpose, at least. She has to hear it through the vents as I'm working on it in the basement. But
you need an unbiased opinion on your music, I feel like.
Yeah. She's maybe not the one to bounce ideas off of.
That's a tangent. Not that I'm saying that your wife is anything like this, but my ex-wife hated my shit. Would always just give me negative feedback. And in a way it's helped me because it's helped me become a better artist, but at the same time looking back the fucking bitch.
Support me. It's not my job. It's my passion and my hobby, my art, man. No, my Lindsay has been always supportive of my art, and has let me kind of take control of a lot of our new house basement. It's my dream come true to have a recording studio at home. But I'm looking forward to, like I said, been recording the next album. I've got 5 or 6 songs in the process. The bones are done. I'm recording basic tracks like synthesizers at home, drum beats, not acoustic drums, but drum program stuff, and just singing a little bit. And then I'm going to take it to a professional studio. I'm going to go to Sonic Factory with Phil Young and do the big stuff there, bass and drums and the real vocals and stuff. But it's nice to put that check mark on the last album and move through. And I think she'll like this. She likes my music. She likes this album a lot. I can't promise that she'd say she likes every song I've ever done or every band I've ever been in. No, she's been to so many shows, so she's been a trooper, and I love her. And happy 5-year anniversary to my life.
That's fucking awesome, man. Not to get into me, but I really hope I can, be in a relationship with someone for that long and be married for that long. That sounds like a great fucking thing to be in.
We got 5. We got 5 years of marriage, and we were dating for a couple of years before that. It's certainly my longest relationship.
Do you guys have kids?
Nope, no kids, just the cat.
Okay. So I've heard that I think this is true. Well, if you're in a bad relationship, it gets worse as it progresses. But if you're in a good one, the hardest years, the first one of marriage, and then like the first year having a kid. That's
Yeah.
what I've always heard.
I don't, kids. I won't talk about the personal stuff, but yeah, I think we're on a roll. I think marriage and love and relationships has its trials and tribulations, and to be patient with somebody and to really love them and let them make mistakes as she's letting me make mistakes, or like whatever, say something bad and not hold it against me forever, or do something and realize is it momentarily I whatever, like she's great. I love her, and we're very, very different when it comes to like our backgrounds, maybe the art, maybe even psychology of the universe, like the way we might approach some of that stuff, but I think it works well. We balance each other out in that way too.
That's important.
Maybe I can give her a little bit more relief, and she can give me a little bit more seriousness. In the best way of like, I don't know. It's good.
Yeah, you definitely seem like you have your shit together. You're very put together. I really appreciate that.
That was not 2 hours ago. I had not felt that way at all. No.
Well, I'm glad we could bring some positive spin.
Yeah, no, it's been good. That Cobra Kai, man, made me stay up way too late. I honestly just could not fall asleep. And it wasn't like super, like, this is so fucking good, I gotta keep watching Cobra Kai. I was like, well, it's 3 o'clock, and there are only like two episodes left, and I'll keep watching, and then 5 o'clock rolls around, and yes, I had been sleeping for a while, but that's when Harvey likes to get up, and he was throwing up last night a little bit.
Oh, damn.
He just ate his snacks too fast. He's not sick. It's a long night.
Yeah, sounds like
the dog.
Dealing with pets throwing up, that's a fucking pain in the ass. Having to clean out the carpet, all that. I appreciate what you said earlier with like how like this music industry that's kind of going on in Des Moines. It's a lot about. I feel like it's a lot about like ear to mouth, like, or word of mouth, I should say. Like people talking about people being like deeply integrated and like involved, like that. If anything comes to the Des Moines music industry,
the lovers of music, the performers, the engineers, the artists, sorry to interrupt there, but
no, you're fine. No, like if anything's going to bring this industry to the top, I think that's what's going to bring it.
Absolutely. And I even said in my this is probably 2 drinks in, but at my job interview for the Des Moines Music Coalition, I straight up said the DMMC is not the music scene. Let's that's my love for music and the music scene and the arts, and it's that's one thing, but we're not the scene, and the music scene is always slithering or moving and building and changing and shifting, and
it's adaptive.
Yeah, it's up and down. There's lulls and there's greatness and there's this, and I didn't hear about that project in that basement, but that's the best music I've ever heard in my life. That stuff's happening here, and all we want to do is be able to support it, And there's, of course, politics that comes along with that sometimes, as you find out, being a musician yourself, or working at a venue, or working as someone who puts on events or books bands. It becomes more complicated than just, let great artists be on stage, But simply when I say it out loud, no, we want to put great artists on stage, and
well, there's also kind of there's a balance to be sought, because you want to include everybody in the Iowa industry, but if someone is just, not that good, I don't know. There's got to be like a certain balance involved where you got to be able to tell someone, hey, you know what, man? Like, this is not necessarily what we're looking for in terms of our performance, but
hell, I even say that to the great acts, it's sometimes, there's too much, it might be, if I can get away with saying it this way, too much of a good thing, or like, like I'm not running out of great music to support. Let's just say that much.
Yeah.
But you get that Instagram email or message and like, how do I play 80-35? And I'm, oh, probably not this way.
That's funny.
I'm sorry.
That's good.
I don't know. I did not book 8035 last year. You know, I was helping this year, and of course, you know, I'm being facetious in a way. But
the act that I didn't go, but the act that I saw that I was really impressed with go for it. A few years ago is Action Bronson.
Oh.
I cannot believe you brought him on. That was, oh my God. I was like working that night. I couldn't afford it.
I wasn't a part of Coalition at that point either. But
really? Okay.
No, I've been there more than a year now.
Okay.
But it is new to me, this whole world. The whole world is new to me every day when I wake up. No, but you know, the behind the scenes of the music industry and what we do is very interesting, you know. And I like to think of myself as being someone who has like my hand on the pulse of the music scene, or like a lover of music, someone who is like not only a lover of music, but someone who's a little intertwined, you know, with what's going on, and like doing my best to feed the soul of the community and making sure, you know, we have a responsibility, you know. And I think to me it's all about the art, and, you know, working with all different types of artists, and I like to consider myself at least someone who is engaged in the music scene, someone who cares, and doing my best with my job not to promote my own music or put myself on our stages, which has been kind of a bummer because I've played 8035 with, you know, a few different groups, many different bands, you know. And I've always loved the DMMC as a musician and a supporter of the local scene. So now it's kind of like, well, I can't really put myself on the 8035 stage unless the people demand it.
Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate that about you. You have a certain amount of humbleness to you. Like, even, like, compared to the people that we usually have in here, hip-hop artists, that's kind of the thing about them, is they're always very egocentric, which is, like, good for that industry.
You got to be proud of your craft and your label, you know.
Exactly.
Your art, what you're throwing out there.
So I guess what I'm saying is, like, I appreciate that there's someone working in the industry who's able to be like, you know what, like, kind of like, not to put any attention on myself, but kind of like me, like, you know, be humble and be like, you know, there are other people that have things to offer to this industry.
Right. I'm learning a lot of what not to do as well, you know.
Yep. Exactly.
You know, way you approach things, and I'm glad, you know, there have been artists and musicians in the scene who have, like, called me out in a way. Mm-hmm. Respectfully, and be like, hey, you know, I like that you're doing this, but da-da-da-da-da. Hey, you know, when you try to do something good, sometimes people don't see that and they see something bad, but every situation has a different angle and different perception, and I appreciate the conversation.
You gotta be able to handle.
You're wrong, but no, I'm joking.
No, you gotta be able to handle people calling you out.
Of course, by all means, you know, of course. Unless it's me in my home studio recording music by myself, then I can just be self-deprecating that way. Or, you know, the community aspect, you know, as a nonprofit, someone who puts on events, you know, you got to listen, you got to work with the people. You still want to put on great events. Mm-hmm. Everybody can't get their way. I'll say that much, you know.
No,
and that's where the politics might come in.
Yep.
And we have this big idea, and this person has that big idea, and maybe the combo makes it like land somewhere in the middle, and no one gets their way, or everyone gets their way, and like whatever. I'm not talking about anything specific there.
No, you gotta get rid of your ego. I
think so. Yeah, it's great. It's about working with people and putting on, you know, honestly, just putting on the best event as an organization, and the fans and the artists, of course, as well. It's what do you call it? Symbiotic. Is that right?
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Can you check my my language there? My grammar? That's symbiotic, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
I try to remember the...
It'll be right enough. There would be some asshole come in the comments and be like, "No!" Maybe.
It's symbiotic, not symbiotic.
I say we take a really quick break.
Cool.
I'm edging to use the restroom here. But then I want to get some more things with you, specifically the Birdroom and your podcast and what you all do. So yeah, let's take can't talk whiskey. Let's take a really quick break, and we'll be right back. All right.
About your personal life and selling a house, Molly.
What is your social security number?
Well, if you can give me that, I can give you a really good deal.
I'll just give you $100 right
Yeah.
here if you just give me
your
your social security. The really sad thing is there are a lot of people who would do that.
It's
More
we
people
live in
than
a
you like
world
to think.
with bots and that are worse than the scammers before that were real people.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
Can't trust anybody.
The fact
I'm
that you
terrible. I get an email that says, your Amazon shipment or purchase wasn't blah blah blah. You can go through it, and I'm like, oh, it says my package is on the way. And I will be really trusting, like, click this link to find out more. And my
We
wife
need
will be like,
$500.
no, like, don't. It's on its way. You check your bank account. Like, you bought it, right? I'm terrible at, like, getting, hacked or something like that, I suppose. Too trusting.
No, I get that.
Well, someone's emailing me. They must be real.
It's really scary to think, like, because I did like I guess about a year's school in computer programming. So I'm like fairly familiar with like what goes into like doing all that kind of stuff. And I mean, like for someone to really be living in that environment and that reality where they're like their entire life is just trying to scam people out of information so they can use it for their own benefit, that just sounds fucking terrible.
Yeah.
That's just like a terrible way to live.
People, I don't know, either have no morality when it comes to that, or maybe some of those people have been put in a position that they're down to their last results, and has maybe something to say about society and
that has a lot to say about
our
society.
culture and Marxism. Yeah, but we don't get to get into that. But
we can if you want, but
Yeah.
I do want to get into a couple of things before we maybe.
no, we don't need to get into the sociology.
This is going there, and I understand that.
Of human interaction. I guess that is kind of sociology, the study of human interaction. But
No, I understand you not wanting to put it on the internet. Trust me. But okay, so your podcast.
Well, this isn't a DMMC podcast, so I can actually give my opinions, my personal opinions, a little bit more. No.
Send me a link for that, because like we said previously, like you really have a really good voice for radio and podcasts.
Thank you.
Just like the depth, like it's almost because I've listened to some of your episodes and I've listened to you. And it's like really surreal to have you in the studio right now, like listening to your voice.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Voice for radio, whatever you want to call it. I just like chatting with people, and I'm a musician who's been on a microphone before.
Yeah.
So you talk a certain way, but yeah. I don't know. I appreciate the compliment, though.
Yeah.
I'm hoping people find my voice soothing.
I
and
find
not
it very
annoying.
soothing.
As I said before, like isolating your vocals as you're recording an album, that was like one of the most worst experiences of my life. For the first time hearing my own voice isolated, the band records and you're singing into a microphone live, and like I recorded my first thing with Keepers of the Carpet or demo called Carpet Burn in like 99, probably 2000, and you go into the engineer room with Bi-Fi Records and have Patrick Fleming, and like you only hear the vocals. Like, what are you doing? Oh, we're EQing your vocals and compressing, blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, I can't. I sound like that, So maybe I've taken taken that to account, but there's also something about embracing your voice.
Yeah, and that's actually what
I got a nasally voice. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah,
and when I was singing, like for years as a youngster, or someone trying to find their voice or mimicking bands I loved, it's really easy to start going a little bit more back here and kind of get the Creed thing going or Eddie Vedder thing. You got to be careful. I've been called out,
Yeah,
yeah. Don't sing like that. Like, what? What do you mean? Sing like your normal voice. What do you mean? Like, listen to it isolated. Yeah. Now sound like Creed. I can't do that. But I also grew up in the 90s. Whoa, I didn't do that, did I?
What the fuck was that? Okay, whatever.
The ghost of Scott Stapp.
As long as it wasn't like hundreds of dollars worth of equipment going down or something like that.
I was going through all your stuff in the restroom, so I apologize.
Checking me out. What drugs is this person on?
It's always kind of freaky finding out what people are doing in there.
Not to get that territory, but
but thanks for saying I have a good voice for podcasts and radio, and somehow we turn it into me scrimmaging through your rummaging. There we go, rummaging through your bathroom for pills.
But like that's the beauty of this podcast. Like I really want to bring that kind of environment to Des Moines. Like because people tried certain different things and that works or doesn't work. But like at the end of the day, I want to be able to provide an environment that's like you can just come here and chill.
Yeah, for sure. Same thing with in the Birdroom. The Birdroom is my home studio. So it was a fun name to kind of come up with, in the Birdroom with Jordan Mayland. So, some bands will show up or guests. It'll be, 9, 10 a.m. We have coffee and chat. That way, I've had other experiences where they come in, on the weekend and it's a little bit later and, we're cracking beers and we're doing the podcast that way. Always nonetheless, there's a fridge over there with something in it. Water, LaCroix. Thank you for supplying some Templeton Rye for this show. It's definitely my style of and I've been on the Dewar's kick lately for Scotch, so it's nice to switch it up with an actual bourbon, and it's tasty. It's hitting the spot.
I'm not a Scotch guy. I'm not a fan.
But you're a whiskey guy?
I'm a huge whiskey bourbon guy, but like the Scotch, it has a certain taste and a tone to it. I feel like that I just don't vibe with.
I know some good friends who also just like, nope, whiskey, give it to me. Scotch, it's not going to happen, or it makes me feel bad the next day.
I feel like the price dollar that you put on Scotch is way more than whiskey or bourbon,
right? Especially if you're doing something like Dewar's, or like a low grade Scotch. Then again, probably the Templeton Rye you got is by far more expensive than the Dewar's I bought, so you're getting good whiskey and it shows. I really appreciate it. I got a gift of Templeton Rye when I moved to Des Moines, and it was a really nice gift for my buddy Justin Stoner, who built my computer for me. So I don't know. Hey Stoner, what's up, dude? But he did. He's one of those guys who helped me put me on my path as far as being able to record at home. And he gifted me a bottle of Templeton when I moved to Des Moines. And I remember that bottle of Templeton because I'm not going to get too personal, but going through some shit and chatting with people about it. I just remember that, let's open the bottle, and chat it out a little bit.
Yeah, that's really healthy, like for your psyche.
Templeton Rye. I think there's a Nada song called Templeton Rye.
So how do you because you've had a variety of guests. I've been that's like one of the things is like, I know you don't put out episodes as regularly as maybe we do, but like you still,
I would have liked to, but I think when it comes down to like having to do all the extra music for it, which is kind of the highlight to me. The conversation is probably, it's a podcast, so of course the conversation is what everyone else is probably listening for.
But like quality over quantity.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I'd like to do more and maybe have more guests who aren't necessarily musicians or people like in the music industry of Des Moines, like yourself, or venue owners or sound people. I don't know. Producers. I would love to get like producers and people who are recording engineers and stuff in as well. But yes. I try to do quality over quantity if I can. I'd like to do more of it though. I'd like to do one a week. But I know once I start doing that, it just takes up so much time with all the extra music that gets involved. Yeah, well, the perfectionist that you are, for sure. The last episode we actually just did, there was the audio was fucking horrible. I couldn't even listen to it. And, I just totally overlooked it. Because, I'm in school and I'm doing, my mind's in different, 100 different places. I didn't even realize that this audio was so bad. And I got so much flack for that the last episode. So, but we've been priming here pretty well. Our audio's good. Yeah, I've listened. Yeah, so I wasn't scared to come in and chat over microphones. Though, like I said, Patrick Fleming of Gloom Balloon came in a couple days ago for a Birdroom, and you know, I had the mic maybe too loud, you know, and the whole thing's so perfect. But when he gets close to it, you know, it's like shit, you know. But that's something else. I use condenser microphones when I do the podcast, thinking that my guest will be. Sorry, I'm getting away from my microphone now. Thinking that the guest will be hanging out in the chair. I have a nice, comfy chair that the guests can sit in. The bird chair. It's sitting underneath of a bird, an owl painting, but done by Andy Schmidt of Starman Press, who does many band T-shirts and designs of many bands and acts in Des Moines. But he did a print, and then the drummer of my band Volcano Boys colored it all in, and it was at our practice space, this owl painting, or this owl print, and Trent had put a bunch of awesome early color on it, and we had to move out of our practice space, and we're throwing everything away, you know, cables, microphones, you know, bag of strings and picks and stuff that is. No, it's all going tomorrow, so I took the owl print, but nonetheless, I use the condenser microphone, thinking that people will be hanging out. And when people get really close, you know, bad for that dynamic or the condenser.
I appreciate like having a guest that actually understands that kind of stuff, because I feel like, you know, a lot of people come through here usually are hip hop artists or people that are kind of related in that field, and no disrespect to those people, but it's different. It's different to like deal with that kind of person than like someone who's like, you know, like you, who's like been through musical education, who like understands like, you know, there are certain things that
different
you need
walks of life, people doing their art, you know.
Exactly.
What I've noticed a lot with hip hop is even like kids, give me the mic, you make it sound good, that's your job, you make it sound good, give me the mic, I'm gonna say something. And, you know, and it's like, all right, that's not my job, is to make you talk, or it's my job to get it to sound
give
right.
Give me the mic.
Yeah, like, give me the mic. I love it, you know. Even students, you know, I saw kids like, it's so crazy, at Meredith Middle School, we had our after-school hip-hop program there. And, you know, I'm trying to get, you know, as many students as I can involved. Of course, you want a program to build, and you want to, you know, if we're there, let's get a bunch of kids involved. And these kids finally, you know, week 2 or 3 showed up, and they're students, and they don't speak English. And you're like, okay, you know, where are you from? Or, and, you know, or Google languaging each other, you know, like, what is this? Google translating each other. And,
extra step.
And the language is it Zimbabwe? Or is it the country? Now I'm complete.
We don't have our assistant here to help us. Sorry, go ahead.
But nonetheless, there's a, let's just say there's a language barrier of being able to teach and students be able to gain something from that. And then we brought in the recording aspect of the program. Anthony Maldonado. Do you know Anthony by chance? AM Mixes.
Not familiar.
Awesome. He's an awesome engineer, hip hop engineer in Des Moines, but he helped with our program too. But AM Mixes. But he was there, like, you know, he brought his like mobile rig, and at DMMC we have, like, you know, some of our mobile recording rigs too for whatever purposes. But now we're really using it to like record students in schools and stuff, and like recording like songs and stuff with them. But language barrier, kind of like, what do I do with these kids? You know, they're here, they want to put the effort in, but they, you know, and we get to the point where it's like, all right, well, we've talked about, you know, culture and, you know, the pillars of hip hop and lyricists, and, you know, let's record, you know, let's, you know, like get a beat together. And those 4 or 5 kids, it was insane, like how they just picked up and are like, okay, let's go. You know, couldn't understand what they're saying, and then they're rap battling, you know, like going around the room, you know. I couldn't understand. There's no words that I could understand because it's all in a different language. And it was one of the coolest moments I've ever had in music education.
Damn.
A beat I just threw on that I created myself, but the fact that these kids were just like, give me the mic, you know. And they could speak a little. I think they could probably speak more English than they were giving themselves, giving me credit for understanding. But the fact that they were just like, then like one kid would say something, they would all laugh and point to the other kid, and he would it was the coolest thing, you know, like a world I'm not didn't grow up in. And the fact that, you know, even with no like language barrier, we were having something really magical happening in that moment, and hopefully they learned as much as they can from the class, but providing at least, that opportunity to like rap or like to write lyrics or to just throw down or to battle a little bit. The classes are, when it comes to education, I don't expect every single student to want to create the beat, That's what we're going to do for 2 weeks. Oh, God. I don't expect every student to write the lyrics. Oh, but maybe one of those kids is like, yeah, I'm a lyricist, Or maybe there's another kid that's like, let's go back to the beats. What can you do? Maybe there's going to be another kid like, I love the music. I'm not good at either. Or they think that at least. What else can I do? Like, what about management or music production or album art? So there's all these different aspects that you don't expect that kind of come up, and it's really cool that what we get to do. And I just hope to be able to do it again, be able to get into schools and do that again. We'll be staying virtual. Music. We'll be starting our after-school programs, available for free to students, I think, 13 to 17. So usually it's kind of a middle school program. We go to Meredith or another middle school. But hip-hop or rock band will be starting at the beginning of October. First week in October, I believe. You heard it here first. I should probably have said something about it on my podcast, which I have. But, it's crazy to be able to do that.
No, I appreciate what you're doing with, try to include everyone.
And let them find their voice,
Yeah.
Or, hear something and, like, one kid comes out of their shell for a second. You're like, oh, God, do that, keep doing that. Really? I'm embarrassed. No. This kid's yelling into a mic, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. Like, I can't believe this is happening at Meredith Middle School in a classroom. And we've got a couple great hip-hop producers and artists here, and this, 13-year-old is throwing down. I'm like, this is the best thing happening in Des Moines musically right now. In my brain, I'm like, this is happening right now.
Yeah.
This kid's getting it.
Exactly.
This kid broke through.
That's what makes Des Moines so special, is like there's so many different pieces that are working into the industry and the scene and what's going on.
And I think we're a city, so it's big enough to be able to do big things.
Exactly.
But it's a small enough city that it's like a big, a small town city, or like something. Like, you kind of still know each other a little bit, and there's still, tons to discover. But there's room for someone to say, email me, or email anybody at the DMMC, or anybody, a producer in town, and to have a conversation, versus, if you're in New York or something, and that's just going to fly, there's a billion people, and I like the aspect of Des Moines, and it's
yeah, there's that like clusterfuck of like New York, LA, where it's like there's so many people like trying to go to that same venue, that same path, and here in Des Moines we're kind of all integrating, doing the same thing.
And even though you can say, it's a small scene in a way. Like we were talking about the Vaudeville and these other clubs. There's Woolies, Gaslamp, now XBK. There is still something to discover, and there has been. There will be again. In normal world, there was something to discover every single night. If it's the Yacht Club on Ingersoll, doing a reggae jam, or any, Grateful Dead night, rock shows. If it's, Vaudeville doing all the different things that they do. Walk down the street to the Greenwood, and it's jazz and blues, that's really all within like 2 miles, and there's no J, and there's always something happening, and we do have a good opportunity when this is all done, the pandemic, to come back strong and like start supporting music and going out to more shows. Make sure to tip your bartenders, and buy the merch, All these shows are $5 to get in, $10, like to get in, or Yacht Club is usually free, and they pay well, they pay the bands pretty well, But man, buy the merch, get out there and support when we can. That's what not my music, but everyone else's.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to buy mine, JordanMayland.com. You can find my new album on it's called The Color of My Soul on Spotify and iTunes and Bandcamp. But get out there and support, And right now, if we can't, there's unlimited. This consistently great amount of Iowa music, and if you want me to show you the music, I will, but get out there right now if you can, and dig into dig into someone's Spotify, and if you like an album, go to their Bandcamp, buy it for $10, you know? Instead of, you know, ordering out, eat in that night, skip a meal for my vote. No, I'm sorry. That was a...
No, I get what you're saying, though.
You know, support where you can. It's really easy to be on Amazon and, like, I like that shirt. I'm going to buy that. Or, do we need this? Nah, $15. There you go. Tip a band. Go to their website, you know. Buy a vinyl. They'll ship it. They'll be so fucking stoked to ship out vinyl right now. The host country, huge. Twins, Gloom Balloon. I know Christopher the Conqueror's putting something out. And they can't play shows to support this. Druids, you know, I could go on. Nonetheless, bands miss playing, and they've all worked very hard for years to put an album out. And what do you do right now? Show them support, you know. That's what I ask, and I got to do what I say, or preach, you know. Do as I preach, as they say.
No, I see what you're saying.
I preach, but like, you know, I there's just so much great stuff out there, and I really hope that we come out of this strong.
Yeah, no, I definitely see what you're saying. Like, and
powerful.
Not to even get political here, but like, I'm personally just someone who I always promote, you know, support your local community over anything else. That's the important part. To make sure that your locals are doing well, that they're artistically doing well, and you know, one of the things I've always really appreciated about you is you have always put that forth. You seem, you know, you're a very local guy, but at the same time, you definitely put forth your artistry. You promote other people. Marty McFly,
yeah,
I remember that episode.
Yeah.
He's
Martin
huge.
Bots.
Yep, he's huge in the hip hop industry. Lavish, they are fucking huge. I would love to get him on the podcast. It's such a...
I would actually love to have Lavish in the Birdroom as well, but that was a Zoom conversation.
Yeah,
I think it was the first one I did. Because, you know, it's one thing to have one guest over. You know, like, hey, you cool? You know, we're both taking a risk here.
Yep.
It's different to have 5 or 6 people and like be in a small room and like, hey, let's record music for 3 hours. And
I get that.
I would love to have actually Lavish in, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally understand.
Marty
that.
was super fun. And that song we worked on was like, he threw me a beat that he worked on. And the special music to that was one of my favorite like little things to do. And I didn't hardly spend any time on it besides almost ad-libbing some like auto-tune vocals and throwing some, like beats over top, like real drums. But getting to know him through, you know, what was it through? It was through like a community conversations, like Des Moines Public Schools type conversation. That we were both at the same meeting. He's like, hey, I like what you're doing. I do some similar stuff with the youth. Check out Conscious Crew. You know.
Hell yeah, I'm a huge fan of Conscious Crew.
Brian Clark and W of Lyric Express on as well, and they do great things for the community. Hip hop. I don't want to call them a label, more of like a organization, but you know, they're all musicians doing a lot with art and doing stuff with the youth, putting out really positive content as well. So, like I said on my podcast, you know, hip hop can get a bad rap sometimes as far as
yes,
what comes around with it, and that's bullshit. The people I have been involved with, at least in my time, those artists coming onto my show, or the people who are in the hip hop after school programs and the DMMC programs, will do the work for nothing if they could be involved. You know, they want to do good for the community. They want to better education and opportunities for the youth. So take that for what it is, as someone who has not been involved in hip-hop my entire life, but getting into that scene a little bit and getting to know some of those hard hitters. They care very much about the community.
Yeah, a lot of humbleness, for sure. A lot of people who are, you know, okay with putting themselves out there, okay with, you know, interacting with other people, etc., etc. So you obviously do a lot of solo work. You just put out a new album. What would you say are some of your influences or people that you aspire to do that kind of stuff?
Well, when it comes things, I could give you a list of at least 100 bands. You know, what's your top 10? But when it comes down to it, I was really influenced by when I was young. Aerosmith, I got really into. They were kind of like, for whatever reason, sounding a little different than the regular top 40 music, which is the only thing I was really able to listen to. Aerosmith, Bryan Adams before that, but then Nirvana happened, you know.
They were,
I'm almost 40, and I was probably just a little young to love Nirvana when Kurt was still alive, but I got into that right at the tip end, and that opened up the door for me. Like I said, my friend Nate kind of showed me White Zombie, Nine Inch Nails, and again, never really got into Zombie or Nine Inch Nails or Reznor stuff until later. Pumpkins, Smashing Pumpkins.
Yes.
Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness changed the game.
It's a great...
The Beatles, Beach Boys, and I think about these artists as artists who don't sound the same album to album. I love the variety. Melancholy and Infinite Sadness, the White Album, 2 albums that sound... You have, you know, like a track that's like a classical piece with strings going into like something insane like XYU from Melancholy. On the White Album, you've got everything from Your Blues, which is just as badass as you can get in the 60s, to Rocky Raccoon. You know, like, I love the variety of those bands, but like those bands, Ben Folds 5, huge for me. And then, you know, never mind. Yeah, those bands, and then being very inspired by local music as well. Like seeing people perform and being like, ooh, that did something for me. Maybe it was just a live experience, but that did it for me. Like, I don't know what happened. But yeah, Beatles, all those bands, Weezer. As I continue, I'm a huge fan of The Strokes.
Fuck yes. Not enough people talk about The Strokes. They've done so much.
That whole like early 2000s, the band, the White Stripes, the Hives, the Strokes.
Yep.
I'm such a Julian Casablancas fan.
Hell yes.
Which you'll totally notice on my next album. But I love the Voids. I love the Strokes. I love bands that are willing to take risks in the studio with their art, which is something I try to do. Never try to repeat myself. I think something nice about the last album I put out, The Color of My Soul, is you might be able to hear influences, but I think when you listen to the album, like, oh, that's a Jordan song, you know? That sounds like Jordan Mayland. And that's what that album kind of is special to me. But then, you know, who else? Miles Davis. I go Tchaikovsky, Mozart, Bach. I'm going through Bach a lot lately. But, man, anything that speaks to you. Tame Impala, you know? And they get a bad rap for being a hipster, you know? Top 40 band.
Yeah, it's like every YouTube meme.
I freaking absolutely loved hearing that stuff when it first came out. And their new album, Kevin Parker's new album, or Tame Impala's new album, The Slow Rush, is just fantastic. And it's not going to get the credit it deserves because it can't tour on it, you know, stuff like that. But, yeah, and you're always learning. I've been I think a crutch for me is listening to old music that I've always liked. Put on that old Green Day, put on that, you know, whatever you want to dive into, the Pumpkins or whatever. But I've loved discovering new music with new technology, like Spotify and iTunes and stuff like that, Bandcamp. So I'm trying to make a conscious choice to listen to new music a little bit more, as much as I can, and I love it. You know, everything from Ariel Pink to Mac DeMarco. All those influences seep in, you know, and like, oh, you can tell Jordan was listening to a lot of Mac DeMarco when he wrote this song. But maybe I'm a great impressionist, but that stuff kind of seeps in. But I think when you listen to iMusic, it always sounds like a Jordan song. I'm glad I've gotten to that point where it sounds like me. So
yeah, I agree with that. Like in the venture of becoming an artist and becoming somebody who can do their own stuff, that is a very important key aspect, is like having your own sound. Yeah. I feel like a lot, like I've had people,
we're all just picking things that we, you know, all inspired by, you know, this and that. I put that in my pocket, and Animal Collective, I want to take that, or Nine Inch Nails, I want to take that aspect, or this one part of the song. It's absolutely, you know, I need that acoustic guitar tone from the Flaming Lips, you know, or like you know, things like that you're influenced not only by their art and their songs, but the production and what you took away from it. That's the great thing about art, is it's always inspiring. So you might see, and as I visualize, you know, like modern day art and whatnot, you might see influences by some of the greats, but but hopefully what someone's painting is something that's true to their own nature, but still, obviously, it's got that hook that brings you in. And when you talk about hooks and stuff that's catchy, that's something someone's maybe heard before, or something that brings you in. It's catchy because it's relatable. It's something that brings you in. It's the point of the hook. But I still think the hook is kind of not a ripoff, but like, God, what is that inspired by? You know, the new Miley Cyrus, like stuff like that. You know, like, I like this because it sounds like, oh, they use those 808s, you know, or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You're using, I don't know. Music's really cool. Art's really rad, you know.
Yeah, there's a variance.
Yeah, it's relatable or not relatable, and that's the beauty of it. And I think when people put their own music out, be prepared to not be worshipped, and
especially around here in Iowa.
You never know. You try. I don't know. I think I had a really bad review of my first album by Keepers of the Carpet. And I think I've talked about this before in a podcast, but he used the word. Oh God, what was the word? Over and over and over. Not naive, but nonetheless. God damn it, I can't think of that
same vibe
that
though.
One word. Yeah, he kept saying something over and over and over. And it was my first album, and I took and everyone in the Ames scene and the Iowa scene was just really supportive, and had our back. And you put your music out there, and someone rips you apart. I learned a lot from that review, and it stuck with me. And I pushed really hard after that to be way better than that. I maybe need to reach out to that reviewer from oh God, it's so long ago, but and say, like, I know you said. Oh God, I want to Pop Matters. I want to look up the Keepers of the Carpet review. Pop Matters, but he used the same word over and over a couple times, and it drove me nuts. And at that point, being 20, being like, I'm gonna email him. I'm glad I didn't, and I'm glad I took it to heart, and I used that to motivate me to be better.
Yes.
But not about proving it to other people, but that was definitely, if you go out there and put your own music out there, it's somewhat competitive, and that's the nature of competition, art, something that is, reflective or even relative to people. It's not something you can weigh or put points to, but you still kind of can, a little bit. It's subjective when it comes down to it.
Yeah, that's the biggest difficulty in, art and music and anything. It's very subjective.
Yeah. And at the same time, you're trying to hook people. You're trying to sell something, or hopefully someone likes this. At the same time, you're trying to do it for yourself. Not even trying. I usually just do it for myself. I'm rarely. Then again, I do think of people that I admire, like Phil Young or Patrick Fleming or Druids or whoever. A band, and being like, God, I hope they listen to this, or are they going to listen to it, and what will they think? So it's. All those different crazy scenarios are going on in your mind.
Exactly. It's really easy to get that in your head.
Yeah. But when it comes down to it, just be yourself and represent yourself, and don't put on a mask. Be yourself. And learn from your mistakes, and keep going or not. Maybe switch it up. Maybe, I don't know, like, be a producer. I don't know. There's so many different aspects to being an artist that is so enticing. To me, I think it's the art, the thing that keeps me going, at least.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Like, I think when you work in the art field, like trying to figure out what the hell's going on, you have to be able to have some humbleness and be, what can I really do? What are my skill set? All that kind of stuff.
I think there's a huge difference being influenced by somebody and just ripping off a chord progression or stealing a melody, which I'm totally against. Then again, there's only so many chords or so many notes in a song.
That's true. Yep.
But then again, listen to Mozart and Tchaikovsky, or nothing sounds like that. Like, they did it. Why can't I do it in pop music? To make it sound just a little bit different than what somebody else has done, or at least put my fingerprints on it. But I'm probably going to use a chord progression that someone else has used. I'm going to do my little touch on it, that little movement that changes it. That's what I'm talking about, the hook. Like, this sounds catchy because it's a 2-5-1. And it sounds catchy because these notes flow together well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm gonna put the melody. I'm gonna fuck something up right here. So I put my little fingerprint on it and change one note and be like, oh, I've never heard something like that before. And that's what I really love about Julian Casablancas, specifically with his band The Voids, using a lot of like some classic chord progressions, but like putting their fingerprints on it. Like, God, it still sounds like a kind of a what would you call it, a standard chord progression, but yeah, no one sounds like that. It's fun. Art is fun, and it's challenging, and it's something that's not going to change for me. It's always a way to build yourself, or be yourself, or to learn, be inspired, and to not repeat myself.
Yeah, I totally understand what all you're saying. There's a certain balance that goes into artistry. You want to put out a certain amount of yourself, but you want to, restrain a little bit to your personal life and all that.
Yeah, that's the fun with lyrics. Then
Yep.
you get to
True.
You could just say, this person did this specific thing, and then you went to this place and you went with that guy. But I there's something beauty about like a really great story like that. You can be really on the mark and like tell a great story. I like to be a little bit more. A little bit more vague or poetic, if you could call it. I've been told that some of my lyrics repeat a lot, or like, I use the same kind of energy, and I'm like, yeah, it's kind of like a mantra almost, to use the same lyrics over and over and over. But to me, like, the melody changes. Who cares about the lyrics at this point? Listen to the music,
Well, and that's not necessarily a bad thing either, to have a mantra, to have a, like, I don't know do you listen to Kendrick Lamar at all?
Yeah, sure.
I feel like there's certain things
that...
that...
we were talking about, like, jazz and then hip-hop, and I'm like...
He's, like, the perfect
he
divide.
uses some great players or great samples or some...
You want to look that up, Molly? The first time we're actually using you in this podcast. Kendrick Lamar's new album. He's actually working with, like, a really concrete, really solid jazz artist.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
It's also something about surround yourself with people you respect.
Yep, exactly.
And who you can fuel their energy, and they can do, they're going to do their part to do your project as well. And that's why I love to record solo. I just love working with myself. No, just joking. But it is kind of like surround yourself with people you trust and admire.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I haven't even heard of this. Crunk everything. What?
We're checking out the new Kendrick Lamar.
Is that his new album?
2020.
What? Holy shit. Am I out of the loop? Damn. Okay, well, I don't know, man. But he was there was some jazz artist that I heard about back in the day that he was gonna be working with.
Sure. I listen to his music, and I just consistently think like, oh, that's jazz to me. Obviously it's hip hop, but like the background, some of the musical influences are like, it's either like insanely great samples, or he's got some stellar fucking people that he's like got in the recording studio with him that are owning their craft and bringing him to another level. And of course, he's going to get the credit, but like that's fine. He's a genius. He's so good, and he's the brain behind that baby, But yeah, having a jazz musician in the studio, or surrounding yourself with great artists is very fun. Very fun.
That's how it goes. Dr. Dre, I've heard stories of him like working with like 80s rock bands. Stuff that isn't even his genre, that he's it doesn't even matter. You're surrounding yourself with talent.
Did you watch that HBO special, Dr. Dre and his manager? Oh God, again, one of those names I can't think of it. It's on HBO. Would you look up? Is that what's happening? I could look at my phone too.
No, she's the Jamie Dar Joe Rogan, so
Dr.
go for
Dre,
it.
I forget what it's called.
Just type in Dr. Dre HBO. They'll probably come up.
It's The Defiant Ones. There we go.
Yep.
The Defiant Ones, and
I've heard about this. I have not seen
I'm
it.
trying to think of who's the other, like the Hughes. Jimmy Levine. There we go. One of those names that just completely escaped me. But you talking about Dr. Dre and watching that documentary about Jimmy and the people that he's managed and worked with or produced, learning a lot about Dr. Dre and his origins, which I knew a bit about, Compton and NWA and all that. To me, it's just kind of part of like pop history, music history. Then hearing him talk, and then they're going into his house and he's playing piano. The dude can fucking play jazz. He's like, dude, he's playing great, and it's no surprise to me. I'm like, I would have never thought. Maybe later in life he got jazz lessons, but holy cow, that guy. It's great to me. There's something really cool about it to be like, he's so hard, and that stuff is so important. And then you hear this other side of him, and he sits on the piano. It's like, oh, you just you can play. You just kind of sound like. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. Chris Marshall. You ruined my flow. should I put him on speaker and let him talk?
Sure. Go for it. You first for the show.
Hey, Chris, you're on speaker.
Hello.
You're on the McAllister Hours podcast.
You're on a podcast, McAllister Hours.
McAllister Hours.
Hours?
Hours. Plural.
Hours. Yeah, we're going long.
HOURS.
You're talking into my microphone.
Oh, hey, guys. So is that Greg and you?
Chris is
confused.
He's in Tires, and he's the lead dude in the songwriter and Gleaner, and he's in Volcano Boys as well.
Oh,
he's in multiple projects I work in.
Okay.
All right.
Well, heck.
Hey,
I'll leave you guys to it.
Yeah, that didn't go well.
We want some insight, but
oh, if I was recording tonight.
Yeah, or if you wanted to do some recording tonight.
I'm supposed to do a radio show after this. We'll see. I might blow it off. We'll see.
Right on.
I'll give you a call in a bit.
Okay, hit that subscribe button. Buy a tushy. Pretty litter. I'm trying to get you sponsors on your podcast.
There we go.
we'll take it.
Was it? I shit my pants. Wow! Well, bang.
Pow.
Pow! There it is. Sorry.
JustCoffee.coop.
All right. Later.
Alright, so you guys have fun.
Sorry.
I love that. That's a
He's a podcast fan. So,
okay.
I don't know what we're talking about. Dr. Dre. I don't know.
Yes.
But
yes.
anyway, going back to Dr. Dre, hearing him play piano, getting his story.
How he did all the jazz and all that. Like, he's very obviously educated into it.
He's out there. He knows his shit. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's kind of the thing with a lot of people who, I think in research, in myself researching people, you realize that they're really involved in a lot more shit than you would have even thought.
Hey, that you get your hands dirty,
Yep.
and you have errors, and you have those trial and error situations, and it may suck in that environment, but you're going to learn from it. I'm talking recording studio or producing or writing. I think the idea is to get yourself busy, and not to think you're a fucking know-it-all at the very beginning.
Yep.
You see young artists, and myself included, when I was young, thinking I knew it all. Certainly not even close to that, and it's nice to feel a little bit more humble at the end of my life. At 39. It was really interesting to see that, and I think it's really important to surround yourself with people that you, for one, respect musically, and then can just vibe on. I've had the best musical experiences in my life with people who didn't study music or take many guitar lessons, and those songs would have never been written if they had. So you can talk up music studying music and studying jazz. It really comes down to the art, and putting yourself into your craft and going for it.
That's the important thing. That's all anybody can do in this industry. Go for it. Especially in Des Moines, Iowa. Just go for it. That's all you can do.
And there have been many opportunities for many different genres and styles and different venues and shows to jump on. So, yeah, opportunities are out there for people. And I always not always but I like moments where I feel uncomfortable on stage. Like, hey, where's this going to go? Not that it's a jam, but I think I've put enough hours in at this point to get myself in a studio with a classical composer, or get myself in a studio with a hip hop lyricist, or of course with a rock band. I want to get dirty. I want that. So we'll learn something. We'll bounce ideas off of each other. It kind of depends what someone wants, But I'm all about collaborating, supporting as many genres as you can, getting out there and as a musician or just a supporter of music.
Yep. And people need to realize that, like, living in Iowa, we're not, things are kind of crazy right now, but, the general standard that, like, things in LA and New York are going to be what's popping, you got to keep that in mind a little bit.
Hey, that's what they're trying to sell. It's LA is the place you go to make commercials and work with fancy producers and a fancy studio, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want. There's so many different avenues to take if the type of art you want to do, if you want to DIY, record by yourself, which is what I do, or if you want to get on a label and have them support you, or if you want to go to LA and get a professional band of people you don't know that you can trust. You buy these people, or you put together a band. Yeah, it's limitless, and that's the beauty of art. And I happen to migrate towards a little bit more DIY type stuff because I like being in the environment and experimenting. I like the trial. I like the trial and error as much. I like the process, but I grew up with such lo-fi equipment, trying to tape over tapes, and now they have bandlab.com, which we use a little bit in our music education, where kids can record a song on their computer. They can play keyboards on their keyboard. They can edit drums. It's really cool. I wish I would have had that type of stuff, but I also really appreciate coming from a lo-fi world and trying to make whatever shitty gear I had laying around sound okay coming through a tape machine, or taping it through my TV to a VCR. I don't know how I pulled that off. I don't remember exactly how that one worked, but those environments, where it's experimental, and then you get to a real studio or a big studio, and everything's at your fingertips, and you got all these ideas, or like, I don't want to sound crystal clear. What do we do to make it sound bad? And then you're like, well, why am I spending $1,000 a day? But like, it's limitless what you can do if it's LA or Des Moines. And I think Des Moines has so many amazing recording studios and artists and producers. We've got Red Number 7 Studio with Kevin Neal. And speaking of Dr. Dre, he has the mixing board, the Neve console. A huge mixing board, not the same model, the same board, the same fucking board that they recorded The Chronic on. They did Doggy Style.
No way.
And other, it's probably more of a venue or like a recording studio that they bought it from. But like, yeah, The Chronic was recorded on that album, and I recorded last Volcano Boys through that board. It's more of like a piece of history plus a really badass, awesome board. But we've got Red Number 7 Studio. We've got Midday Studio with Logan Christian, who did Gloom Balloon album. Did I say it right? The Gloom Balloon albums. Which production is fantastic. He's done stuff with Dustin Smith. There's Phil Young at the Sonic Factory. I could just go on. But there are places to record in Des Moines that you're going to get incredible good quality. I think the point of going out to LA is I've never been to LA. I know people who've been to LA. I've never been out of the state. No, I've gone on tours. I've gone to Minnesota once. But But no, there's great shit happening in Des Moines as far as producers and quality, like high end. But yeah, those places take a little bit of money, but it's not like you're going to LA and spending $1,000 a day. Go to Sonic Factory, man. Go to Midday. Go to Red Number 7 Studio. They care. They actually care about the art that's happening. And I think that's a big difference between an artist going from Iowa, going all the way to LA. I'm not going to say they're not robots. They're
no,
people.
they want to do it for them. They're
But
not doing it for no reason.
Who knows? Everyone has their own angle of why they're in that spot recording that album at that specific time. But, I'm saying support local if you can, By all means, if you need to get out of Des Moines, you need to go to LA or you need to go to Denver or something like that because that's your vibe, do it, man. Follow your heart. But I'm just saying, you don't need to get great quality recordings in Des Moines. Red Number 7 Studio, Midday Studio, Sonic Factory, Birdroom Studio. No, I'm not really booking bands, so I've done a couple sessions on stuff.
Okay.
But mostly my studio is just it's my own, and I might take on a special project if it happens, but I have enough of my own songs. I would love to produce more, but so if someone wants to produce with me, that'd be different. If it'd be hey, let's go to Sonic Factory and have Phil Young engineer and you produce this, that would be different. But the Birdroom for me is
So I want to hear more about this Birdroom. What exactly?
Well, the Birdroom is my home recording studio in the house that my wife and I own.
Okay.
In lovely Beaverdale area.
She lives around the Beaverdale area, so
we love it.
Very familiar.
We love it. We're quite north in the Beaverdale area, but when we toured the house, the basement just set it off for me. It was just a charm. There's a charm to it. And it kind of has the wood paneling all around. It's kind of old school. Reminds me of my grandpa Bud Winter, in his old basement, Christmases back then. So there's that charm to it. And of course I've recorded by myself on computers that their hard drive dies and, using whatever I can to make my music. But the fact that, that it's nicely set up now. I've got up to 16 channels at a time, and Phil Young has been a huge help with borrowing me gear and setting me up. My buddy Justin Stoner helped me with my computer. I'm the musician. I can engineer, I can produce, but as far as the technical stuff is hey, wire this in. Nah, man, that's just not my. I'm not a computer guy, but I know what I want, so it's kind of cool to learn the programs a little bit more. When it comes to the program itself, yes, of course I can charm people with reverbs and delays. But the Birdroom originally, I think I was talking about before, when my wife and I were living not very far away from where we are now in the Ingersoll area on High Street.
Okay.
And we had a 2-bedroom apartment duplex situation there. And it was before we were married, and it was a guest bedroom. What do we do with this room? I'll throw my computer. I don't have a computer at this point, or a laptop or something. And then my gear just always kind of ended up in that room. And Lindsay my wife won in an auction at work at Meredith Corporation, $1.25 auction worth of weird bird decor. Just kind of random, I'll put $25 for a dollar. I'll put $2 into that. And one all this weird stuff. Kind of joking, but I'll take it out. It's kind of neat. She brings it look at all this bird stuff. And I'm that is so not us. It's so funny. It looks like it's something you see your grandma's house or something like that.
Yeah,
all this cool bird decor, and let's just throw in the other bedroom. Ooh, wait, Birdroom, called the Birdroom. And I started recording in there and needed to put something online, where was this recorded? I'm Birdroom Studio. And then I got the idea to, I was just trying to be selfish in a way of, I want to get my hands on more projects. I just miss recording. I can record a little, let's see how much of this hard drive's got, but I can record a little bit. So I got the idea of, let's have a solo guest in, and we can do a little bit of music and chat about music. And then we life goes on. No one wants to hear my podcast. I'm not gonna.
One second, I want to interrupt you there. That's not true. I listen to your podcast.
Thank you.
I remember the last episode with Forrest. You were like, nobody's listening here. And I was literally at work. I was like, I'm listening.
That's the point. That's why you say it. It's called pandering. No. We ended up buying a house, and my studio situation at that point, as far as interfaces and like a computer situation, upgraded. Got a nice microphone. So started recording some stuff at home as far as, a lot of the drums done on that album and what I've done before were in that studio space, which is just a bedroom. I couldn't use a full drum set. I really couldn't. I legitimately couldn't set up a full drum set in this room. And there's neighbors who live above me. I'm not going to sit here for half hour trying to get like, and work it over and over and over and try to like. I'm not set up for that. So, 2 microphones. I would put on a tom, one rack tom or something like that, and go record a guitar part, and then go do the whole song that way. Put another mic on a different drum, and then I put a snare in. So there's like a song like Jared Lincoln that's on my album is not a real drum set. It's me playing different parts like I was playing a full drum set, kind of like Josh Homme, Queens of the Stone Age. I'm a huge Queens fan.
Oh, hell yeah.
We're talking about influences. Queens of the Stone Age and Josh Homme's production is huge.
Hell yes.
For me. So that's kind of his style, is like breaking apart the drums a little bit, and let's not put cymbals on there. Let's actually just do bass drum and snare and like toms. They'll record it that way. And like, I'm sure drummers are going, how the hell do I record without hitting my cymbals? No, you air drum it, and if anyone's watching, do it that way, and you just don't want the cymbals. But like I tore everything apart. I only had 2 microphones at a time, so I really tore it apart. The studio grew once we moved into the new house. Got a different mixing board, a different interface, and then I was able to do multiple tracks. It was 8 tracks, and then I got different microphones, and it turned into something pretty cool, and without ever a major vision of like Birdroom podcast or like it's going to be a studio. It's always just kind of like, I want a nice mic. I want something a little bit better for for snare drum, or I want something like that's going to always be the best thing for vocals. And you put a little money towards that, and you have good friends who borrow you stuff or walk you through their ideas. Then it became a Birdroom studio in my house, and then I started doing the podcast out of it.
Damn.
And I always thought like, well, I want to do like an acoustic track with somebody, and I hate going to radio stations and doing an interview when they want you to do an acoustic song. I hate it because I'm always promoting an album I just spent fucking insanity amount of stress on. I'm like, play the track, play the song I just recorded. I don't want to go there and like do acoustic. So that was the idea of like I want to do something special, and by all means, if someone says, "Hey, can you play a song from my track?" Yeah, give me the thing. I'll throw it in. But like, if you can, like, let's sit down and like let's record something. And this isn't live something you do on the radio that you know that your vocals are going to be 80% louder than the acoustic guitar. It's all live, all that type of stuff. Which kudos to live radio and all that type of stuff to be able to pull that stuff off.
Yeah,
that's just like as an artist myself, I'm like, it's not really what I want to do.
No, I get what you're saying. You want it to be separate.
Yeah, like,
from your deal.
And by all means, if someone wants to sit down and just do a song, do it. I'm cool with that. And some really cool things have happened because of that environment, I think. The Von events came in. Von events. After their, right during their release of Freak Out People. No. Yeah, it was around that time. And they did 5 songs there. And it was a party. The interview was terrible. They're a hard crowd. But I really enjoyed having them there. But like I was like intimidated by them being there because I really respected them as a band and I liked their music and I didn't really know them personally that well. So they come into the studio and you ask them a question and it's kind of like dead air a little bit. This is going real bad. But then and then you listen back like, oh, that was actually pretty fun. You got those guys to talk a little bit. That's cool. And we did 5 fucking songs. And then they put an EP out, songs from In the Birdroom, Von Events, when they put their record out. they put a tape you release with this. I'm like, that's a really cool special thing. And by all means, my whole deal with the Birdroom is, yeah, we're going to put it out on the DMMC podcast, but you also can do anything you want with this material. And that's cool. Like people like I know other bands, Zapateur, put like his 2 songs out on Bandcamp, and I think at some point I will put like it's kind of ready to go. I just gotta maybe talk to all the bands and make sure, hey, are we cool with DMMC putting this out? We've all talked about like, hey, it's cool if this music that we sell is, or you get the rights and we get the rights. That's more like behind the scenes type stuff. But want to make sure everyone's cool with like us putting something out. But I think we'll put out a full, probably like a 30-song album in the near future.
Damn.
Of all the music that's done from in the Birdroom, which I get to put my fingerprints all over. It's just my my pleasure and responsibility to make it sound as good as I can. And sometimes it is what it is. It's a live recording situations, and you do your best. And I love that bands come in and we get to have a fun time and do something different.
No, I really hope like Birdroom becomes the staple of Des Moines, because I've been following you for a couple months now, and Birdroom just seems like a place where it's humble. People can come and do their own thing. Obviously, what you just described, it seems to be a line of trek. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, man. It's all about trying to use the DMMC's reach or audience to promote the music that we say we're going to promote. The bands of Des Moines, the music of Iowa, and right now it's a little bit more difficult to have any full bands in. But we're still doing it. I'm still doing shows over Zoom. People are sending me tracks now, which is really fun. I have like a really cool episode coming up where it's going to be a collaboration project and this is all starting at the beginning of the pandemic. I've got people from all over Iowa. There's Joe Terry, who now lives in North Carolina, who was in Poison Control Center. He threw some stuff down for us, did some stuff. So there's that aspect now that just kind of changes with the times a little bit. But yeah, it's about the artistic collaborative process, I guess, and hopefully getting people a little bit more notified about the great artists of Iowa and Des Moines.
That's fucking awesome, man. It sounds like you're doing a lot.
Hey, you say they say choose something to do you love for your job. Didn't choose it. Very, very happy it happened. I worked, many different jobs, struggled financially, trying to pay off college, get my life together while trying to be an artist. And a lot of that's on me. It's nice to find a job that is kind of made for me. Very almost like kind of like.
You feel like you fit in like a puzzle piece almost.
In a way, yeah, absolutely. And it was. There's been some great people who've had the position before me. Lindsay Keast had it before me, and she works at the Des Moines Art Festival, Art Council, Arts. I don't know your job, Lindsay. I'm sorry. And Chris Ford, he worked there for a while. Christopher the Conquered, he had my position years ago. And to be able to like be a music educator coming into that role and kind of pushing music ed a little bit more, and just knowing that like, yeah, I'm into this. I'm into it with the music scene. It's a privilege and an honor, and try to do my best.
No, you really are. I really appreciate everything you're doing. You really I feel like you really bring a voice. I'm trying to do that as well, but like you help to that, to like bring a voice to Des Moines, to the music scene. I really appreciate that.
Hey, I love it. I love being accepted into it if I can be, and I love going to shows, and there's a lot of cool shit happening, and a lot of great venues, and a lot of great studios, and a lot of many important people behind the scenes who really don't get the credit that they deserve. That we'll do our best to shine a light on here and there, here and there. I don't know what that meant, but yeah, it's a cool gig. It's work.
Yeah, a lot of
and
work.
right now it's very stressful because of everything, and we can't do 80-35 this last year. We're obviously planning for next year with our hopes high.
Exactly, that's the thing. 2021 is gonna be great.
If we can, if people are safe, if we can get rid of this thing.
Yep.
Live music has changed. don't think there's any doubt about that. Then again, you can walk down Ingersoll and you can walk into a club and there's 20, 30 people there and like no one's wearing masks and there's no sanitation. Or I'm not going to name a club or anything I went into. I was surprised. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
I went out for a beer. That was the plan. Like, hey, let's go to a patio. Somebody called me, and let's go to this club. And I'm like, I don't want to. I'm staying in. Let's do it. Like, it's dead. He said it's dead outside.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go grab a beer, have a patio drink, and then it gets busy there, and it's kind of like, well, let's get out of here. And you go to another place, and there's no outdoor drinking or situation, and it makes me uncomfortable, and I'm already somewhat of a paranoid or a neurotic in general. So it made me very uncomfortable to be in that place. But going back to live music and what we want to do at the DMMC is I hope people take it seriously. And I hope that people can, I want to support businesses, I want to support stuff. Don't get me wrong. It's an unworkable situation. It's with schools, with live music, with restaurants, with normal businesses. This was handed to us and we were screwed a little bit for a while. So I don't have the answers, but I hope that we can hold off from live music and live stuff for a little bit longer and then come back really strong. We're working on 8035, or we've got some ideas. We're working through different, scenarios. We want to do it. But if people aren't safe and America or Iowa or whatever, Des Moines, don't take it seriously, we're not going to be able to do that. And it's going to be this way for a while. But I think live music has changed. I hope that venues will offer in the near future, sanitation options, masks or whatever. I just know that live music is going to change in the near future. And I'll tell you what, when you play a venue and the band before you's been drinking use that same microphone and you got that bad breath on the microphone, I'm looking forward to that positive change. Hey, let's switch out microphones here. Can you sterilize this thing? Because that guy had a burrito before, and it's really gross, sharing microphones.
That's going to be a really interesting thing to see, like, how this all turns out. Like, because, there's been a certain standard before COVID with how everything with live performances, everything is gone. And, kind of in the stage where we're, trailing off it, but maybe, there's still a worry and a scare. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with all that.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's too bad. I don't need to get political, but I'm really hoping for the world to change. I'm really hoping for a big change. Let's just say that much.
I agree.
It's a mess right now, and we can do better. The world can do better. Iowans can do better. I can do better.
Well, that's the important part, is like admitting to yourself that you can do better.
I think that's something to do with racism as well. Not to get. It's not even political. Racism is racism. But I think there's something about looking at yourself. Myself being a privileged white person from Iowa, privileged or not, growing up in a small farm. Quite poor. Sorry, Mom and Dad. You're fine. We weren't poor. We're good. But like looking at yourself and going, I didn't have the same struggles or the same fears. And people say, I don't see color when I look at somebody. Bullshit. See their face, know where they come from, or that person. Get to know the person.
That's the important
sorry,
part.
Now I am getting a few drinks in, but
no, you're fine.
When people, empathy goes a long ways. I'll say that much. Empathy, understanding, celebrating someone instead of being scared of somebody, goes many different ways. And I really we're in a really weird situation in the world right now, and no one asked for this, but kind of did. Kind of did.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, how the unorganization has gone for so long, and this is kind of the end result. Is that
in a way
this happens?
It really should be the end result. yeah, we don't want to get too political as a voice of
I mean, I'm personally okay with anything, but
no.
I understand you not wanting to get into that. That's
no,
fine.
like as a voice of the DMMC or like someone who's talking a lot about that. I don't want to put anybody in a weird situation. Like, oh,
I understand
Des Moines
that.
Music Coalition says you can't not see color. Like, you know, like that was me just saying like I you know, like I would rather celebrate someone personally. Than like I didn't notice you were black. You know, like bullshit. Like, you know, like celebrate the person. Let's talk this out. I'm looking within and noticing what I have done. God, now I am getting too deep. You know, I try at least. People need to try and stop being so fucking defiant all the time, and listen and understand the struggles of other people. And
well, maybe to deter from that, like,
sorry.
No, you're fine. I just, you know, I think Iowa has a unique perspective, and it's about inclusiveness, I guess is a good term.
Yeah, right.
Like, people, you know, realizing that they're from different backgrounds or from different places. I think, you know, in everything going on in the world, well, especially in the U.S. right now, you know, cities going through shit. I think Des Moines is one of those few places where, you know, people still feel like they're okay.
You'd think so, unless you're black.
Yep. And that's
sorry,
that's
the end of the podcast. No, sorry. No, I'm just saying, like, people put a blind eye to that shit, and there was reform and protests for a reason, and time for a quick check, you know, and that's a self check as well for me personally. If that's been, I probably even sounded ridiculous on the program talking about hip hop, you know, the white boy from the farm. Like, I fucking dig it. Check yourself, you know.
Check yourself, boy. Wreck yourself.
I guess so. But thanks for the Templeton and ruining my career.
I hope we're not doing that. I really hope.
I don't really regret anything I've said. It just, you know, you talk about music, you talk about life, and everything kind of starts intertwining, and there's a lot going on, and it's on your mind, man.
Well, sorry, not to interrupt, but like for me personally, like it's always been about like people getting their own voice out. So for me personally, you say whatever you want.
I'm not the voice that necessarily needs to be heard. I'll say that much.
I see what you're saying.
I will say that much. I'm okay for now. I don't have to worry about a lot of the other things that other people have to worry about. I've got my own worries, and I built myself up, but I also didn't have the same struggles as other people's who wouldn't have that opportunity. And we don't, again, like that's not the point of the program, but for the moment, you know, I will say Black Lives Matter, and I appreciate the people fighting the fight for change.
It's good to, you know, get your voice out, get all that out for sure. I guess we've been going for holy shit.
Yeah,
almost 3 hours. We've been going through a while.
This might be a double header.
No, you know, that is totally fine. I've honestly been waiting for a guest to come on to like fucking talk my ear off, and I really appreciate that you've done that.
Man.
I guess. Sorry, go ahead.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
No,
I did the show, and I'm like, I'll bounce in. You know, we tried to set it up before, and then pandemic, and things didn't happen, and I've had a good time.
No, I really have too. You have a very prominent voice in the Des Moines industry, and you know, this podcast is all about just people bullshitting, people to have a good time. I guess last point before we, you know, maybe wrap this up. Where do you think we're going in terms of, like, you know, end of the year? Not to get political, but there is an election coming up. COVID's still reigning. I guess where do you think we're going to end up, like, you know, December, end of the year?
North Pole. I don't know. Damn. I have hope.
That's good. That's good.
I hope. And I'm doing what I can, but I'm not doing enough at times, you know. When it comes to supporting places financially, we've all got our shit. Getting out there and walking with people, I haven't been being able to do that. I actually had sciatica really bad.
Oh, damn.
And not being able to walk, not making excuses or anything, but there's more we can do. I think these are really trying times for everyone who has been possibly molded by good natureship of everything's all right if you believe in each other, and it's just not. Like people are angry and devastated and tortured. I think it's going to get messy. I think I believe in hope, and I hope the human spirit will prevail, and we're not as divided. That's what I hope. I hope that by me, if I can embarrass myself, by saying things I did before, or not embarrass myself, that people are having the conversation, and people can feel free to call me out, and it starts with arguments. I think you have a big fight with someone you really love, and sure, the next day you wake up and you might be able to chat that out, or you take a day or something, but you chat it out. Cultural change, huge shifts take decades, and we're having that fight. I think we've been probably having this fight for a long time, but I think it's time to fucking wake up and have the conversation. Yeah, maybe it's not time to wake up. I don't know. Maybe it's time to keep fighting. Right now is a really good time to fight, but maybe that's a bad analogy.
Maybe
but
both.
Like I'm not saying like I fight, burn and riot, but protest, use your voice. I don't know what's going to happen. I hope for change. I hope for empathy. I think empathy is probably the most important thing. Empathy towards those who are struggling. Yeah, empathy I think goes a long ways.
That's a good message for sure.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
I came up with it.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Empathy. That was my. No, I don't know. Anytime I get serious, I joke. But if I can be candid, yeah, empathy. Search for it. Just try to put yourself in the shoes of someone else. If that's looking at someone's opinion on Facebook, or if that's a political thing, or if that's a race thing or a music thing, we can be better.
You can understand why that person is posting that, even if it's like from some fucking extremist crazy point. Yeah. I think the important thing is like
empathy, or yeah, sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good. Like empathy, humbleness, like definitely just fucking doing what you can to, reach out to people.
I guess so. Celebrate other people. I don't know. Not other people, but yeah, empathy goes a long ways. And,
definitely. I don't know. I personally tend to be like more of an empathetic person, which is really a sad quality of mine. But no, I do really try to be as empathetic with people as possible. I try to understand where they're coming from. And whatever your vibe is, whatever you're trying to promote, I really hope that goes a long ways, and that we're all able to do that.
Especially when it comes to music. Let's bring it back to music, and like whatever you're doing artistically. That's not, to me, I'm more apathetic when it comes to music, and trust me.
No, that's a good quality.
The cultural world and the politics and the clusterfuck of the world, that's way more like, hey, I lucked out being born in North Iowa, and even in like my trials and tribulations and whatnot, people have it much worse. So that's where my empathy comes from. But when it comes to apathy, hey, music, hey, you made that choice, like you're putting an album out, that's different, in a way. But at the same time, I don't gotta know your whole damn story if you put out a bad song, fucker. If you put out a bad song,
exactly.
It's a bad song. I'm not gonna be empathetic. No.
There's so many goddamn stories. Like you could do a whole lifetime of like trying to dive through people's stories, and like you would not even
I was
scratch the
thinking the other
surface.
day how many people think I'm gonna write a book about my life. I was thinking the other day, like, how many times have I thought, like, I'd be a great I was thinking that since 9th grade, like, I wonder how many people think, like, they're so fucking special.
Right?
We all need to hear about me.
Right? When there are, like, at least 10 plus other people who have, experienced the same shit you have.
Yeah. not the exact same thing. It's
I understand what you're saying. It's like it's all different.
It's all different, in my opinion. It's very I'm somewhat nihilist in a way that everything is quite random and of no consequence when it comes down to the ultimate meaning of life. But like, oh no, we're here. We have other people on the earth, and I don't believe there's a purpose to a lot of things. So let's be fucking good to each other.
Exactly.
Let's learn how to not take advantage. And God, what a weird time.
Yeah,
but having a good time today.
Exactly. I think
we did a good job.
We did a really good job actually.
I just be empathetic, man. Like just chill. That's where it's getting right. Yeah, you see it. We've got live footage. Molly silently judging and just shaking her head.
We're doing all right. No, I really appreciate what you've all had to say. I think,
and I didn't come on the show by any means to be political or get
anything
serious. We're
I know.
talk about music, and it's the way of the world, and it's the way of the whiskey when that stuff comes out. But it's important, and it's constantly on everyone. Everybody is like here,
No, I get
you can't you can't get away from the news.
These are rough times for sure.
And it's not about the news. You don't try to. I don't watch the news anymore. Fucking get into it. Listen to it, people. Listen to the stories. Find your own news. I don't know. Like, you don't turn a blind eye. It's if it's okay for you, fine. Fuck you. No, I'm joking. Sorry.
No, I think it's really important for people to be.
Please edit that out.
For anything to be humble.
Humbleness goes along with it.
Humble as fuck. Like, understand that other people are going through different shit that you cannot even begin to grasp an understanding of.
Me too. And I don't. I guess I get the privilege or the luxury of, telling my story when I go to a podcast, or telling my story through songs and poetry. I get the luxury of doing that, and that's my choice. Other people don't. And you have to walk down the street, and like that person's that person, that person, that person, that person. They all have different worlds, and like, there's not even a means to understanding what everyone's going through. So, try to be cool. Try to be empathetic and not hateful. Slow down the road. Don't be a road hog. Don't flip people off. Don't call people names.
I like to flip people off when I'm on the road personally, but I do.
Well,
I'm a road rage guy.
I have, and I still do. I have. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's a personal. Like, check yourself.
Check yourself.
I have moments, and I'm like, I don't know that person's day. They cut me off, and that was very illegal and very dangerous, and they should know that it was. But they're not going to respond for me honking and yelling and flipping them off. They're just getting mad and drive harder and faster.
It's going to increase their anger. For sure.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to someone being a dumbass walking across the street with headphones on, I will honk at them and scare the living shit out of them, and that will teach them a lesson to maybe look before you cross the street. But it comes like actual road rage. I've tried to hunker down or try to find a little bit more zen.
Yeah.
I can, but I'm still always raging. Always. I mean, I probably talk 80% of the time here, so I'm always.
No, I really appreciate that. I appreciate like having a voice on the podcast because us dealing with like rappers in the game, I feel like it's so hard for them to talk. So it's really refreshing. We had like a couple kids in the podcast. I'm not gonna lie, like people like 18, 19, maybe younger. So it's really great to have like someone who's like an adult. Fucking talk about some shit.
Well, that's the first time anyone's called me an adult. But no, like, I think that the youth is the next. Obviously, it's a next voice, and we got to put on a better show, and teach them better. And I don't have kids, so I don't. I'm not gonna start there. Maybe my help can be within the schools and music education, and try to bring something positive. Or if something positive comes out of my music and does that, or me coming on a podcast and getting political for 5 seconds might make someone else think or make me think and go, hey, I probably shouldn't have said that,
Yep.
And I'm not saying just talk your ass off. But I think communication goes a long ways.
Yeah,
And understanding and
essential in this day and age, like with everything going on. It's essential that everyone gets their own voice out. Fuck, dude, it's been a great podcast. Even though we've been talking for as long as we have, I feel like we haven't covered even the base.
Oh, really?
Yeah, what you do is so fucking inspiring to me. You really tap into what's going on in Des Moines.
I don't hardly do anything. I just put a lot of flanger on my voice, and it makes me sound cool.
Well, hey, if you ever need a guest on the podcast,
dude,
I am a phone call away.
Yeah. Well, I'll check out more of your music, and we'll do a collaboration with the Birdroom then, since you were so gracious.
Hell yes. If there's anything I want to do, I want to check out the Birdroom.
Yeah, dude, it's fun. I think everyone comes down and goes, "Hey, I could hang out here."
Yeah,
and it's really just
real.
like a basement and audio gear and all my stuff there, and there's a little hangout for my gaming station. I play some PS4.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Just not much at all anymore. My dudes all kind of stopped playing Destiny 2 and they moved on to other games that I want to buy. But it sounds like we're going to do I'm going to buy the Avengers here sometime soon and dive into that. But no, it's a chill little spot, and it's great to offer it to other people. I was worried about bed bugs getting into the house before I invite people. Now I'm like bed bugs is one thing. I don't want to get COVID either. But it's really cool. All the guests have been very gracious and very cool. And even though I have usually a band comes over, I might have the mini fridge full of, or like a 12-pack. People bring beer, bring their own stuff, and it's always a nice time. Or people just come with water, and we're actually mature, and I don't fuck up all the recording in the process.
No, I get that. Definitely being professional as much as possible during the podcast.
Yeah, set it and forget it. That's a nice thing about a great recording gear is, it's going to sound good no matter how you set that at level. Yep. So sometimes you got to be, that's a little too trusting.
It helps you in post, that's for sure. This has been a great fucking episode. I cannot tell you how.
Good afternoon.
Hell yeah. I cannot tell you how long I've been waiting to get you on the podcast.
Oh man. Yeah, well, it has been a minute because we talked about it a while ago.
Yep.
And I think I had to, did I cancel the first time or
something like that.
Yeah, it was.
It happens with everyone, so don't feel bad about it.
And I think I reached out enough in advance. I was like, heads up, this ain't gonna happen, because I know what it's like when you prep for something and then it's 2 days before. It's like, oh man, I took the time to set up, or but yeah, I've really enjoyed myself, and I don't think anyone else has offered me whiskey before. I've had a beer on their podcasts, and I always offer as much a home, make yourself at home environment in my show. But yeah, I've had a good time, man. It's
awesome.
Good meeting you.
I'm glad to hear that.
We should do this, everyone. Like I said, I can strike up a conversation with most people at a bar.
Yeah.
Or just hanging out in an environment, much like my dad. And as I say, my dad's the talker. My mom's also a talker, so this is perfect for me.
Yeah. I'm really glad that you've come on the show. This has definitely been a unique experience having you on the podcast and all that.
Yeah.
It's been a great time.
It's good being around the Ingersoll area again, too. I miss this part of town.
Hell yeah. If you ever want to hang out, you want to have a guest on the podcast, I'm definitely full of information, all that.
Boom.
Hell yeah.
Booked it. Now it happened.
Jordan Mayland, I love it. In the Birdroom. Stay tuned. Next week, we're going to have Jacob White on the podcast. He's a very, what is it, David Blaine? Is that the guy's name? What?
Chris Angel.
Oh, Chris Angel.
Who's Chris Angel?
Oh, he's a magician type guy. Yeah.
You say Chris Gaines?
What was that, sorry?
You say Chris Gaines? Is that the Garth Brooks?
No.
Not familiar with any of that.
Oh.
But this guy, Jacob White.
I ruined it all.
Oh, you're good. This guy, Jacob White, he was on he was on Instagram story, stepping over an entire cooler full of broken glass bottles, and he was just stepping all over it. This guy is fucking insane. So
I'll tune in for that one.
Hell yeah. I'll send it to you and all that. The Macau Stars has been great. It's been a great time. Episode 40. I'm so fucking glad I have Jordan Mayland on the podcast.
My pleasure, dude.
It's been awesome.
Any excuse to hang out with a new friend and drink some Templeton Rye. And thanks for making your accommodating situation cool for me. And I appreciate the invite more so than anything. And I had a great day.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it as well.
And I'll go think about everything I said, or hopefully remember it, or be surprised by what happened when I listen to it.
Well, usually we record this on Saturday. This is a Wednesday.
Oh.
So
Is it Wednesday?
It is Wednesday.
I thought yesterday I was making plans for a lot of stuff. It was Wednesday already. So
I get that. My days of the week is been off.
It's all different these days.
It's all fucking nuts.
What is time?
We've been going for a while. This might be one of the longer podcasts for sure.
I did that with Patrick Fleming the other day, but him and I just go back, So
yep.
We chatted. I'm like, should we make it a two-parter?
You might have
Part
to in this day and age, with all the information going on, all that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Whatever. Thanks, dude. Thanks, Coleman. I really appreciate it.
This has been
Molly,
fucking great.
Nice to meet you.
Yep. Jordan Mayland in the Birdroom. Check that podcast out. That is the shit.
Check out the new album, In the Color of
Yep.
My Soul. I'm also in the bands Volcano Boys, Tires, The Wheelers, Keepers of the Carpet, Nuclear Rodeo, Electronidol,
Exactly.
Mantis Pincers.
This motherfucker's doing a lot, and if you're not with it, fuck you.
No. You just didn't get you're just not my Facebook friend, and you just didn't see it. You didn't give me my 6th like. You worked so hard to put an album out, 3 years, or whatever, and you're like, the day has come, and you put it out, 6 likes or 12 likes.
Yeah,
on
right.
Facebook. You're like, well, hopefully that means people just click the link and listen to the album or something like
Yeah.
that. Now you post a picture of the cat, and you'll get like the most popular photo of the year. But it's all a privilege and
Yep.
nice to be a musician, and that's what I said about the last album. Is I put it out and people reached out and said nice things. So that's all I ask. Besides,
Hell yeah.
getting booked at the big festivals that I can't book myself on.
No, I totally get that.
Hinterland looking at you.
This has been a great fucking episode. Jordan Mayland in the fucking studio. It's been a hell of a time. Check out his new album. Check out his podcast. He's doing a lot in the Des Moines music industry, so please check him out. Like I said, next up, Jacob White. He's like a very David Blaine. Who's the other guy I said? Sorry. Chris Angel-esque kind of guy. I really hope we can get have him do some crazy shit. And yeah, it's been a great fucking time.
Cheers, man.
Yeah.
I would cheers you and actually drink that one more.
Yeah, fuck it, why not? We'll have another one. Alright. Peace out, everybody. It's been a good time. Check out the episode. Alright.